The serenity of the Irish hills of south central Michigan are awakened with the sound of race engines. 40 high-powered cars get set for 400 miles at Michigan International Speedway. Ernie Irvan thinks about his reversal of fortune that put him in victory lane last Sunday at Watkins Glen. After an apology to fellow drivers at Talladega, Irvan visited victory lane for the second time this season. Mark Martin has reversed his fortunes of earlier this year, accumulating most Winston Cup points in Charlotte. At the Glen, he suffered a setback on the last lap, spinning with third place Davey Allison, but he came back to finish third. Allison, the winner here in June, finished ninth. Dale Earnhardt, the Winston Cup points leader, hopes to reverse his fortunes of last Sunday. He jumped a restart, and even a plea from car owner Richard Childress to NASCAR officials still resulted in 2 black flags. Dale finished 15th. Ricky Rudd picked up another 10 points on Dale in the battle for the Winston Cup with a runner-up finish at the Glen. Rudd comes here to Michigan hoping to close the gap even further. All 40 drivers wonder what their fortunes will be as the champion Sparkplug 400 is ready for the green flag. ESPN, the world's leader in motorsports coverage, presents Speed World. Today, live from Michigan International Speedway, it's the champion Sparkplug 400. The rains of yesterday have moved out. Today we have clear, cool, and dry conditions as we get set for 400 miles of racing. It's the 19th event of the year, and the quest for the Cup point standing showed that Dale Earnhardt has a 108-point advantage on second place Ricky Rudd, and the top 5 are separated by only 263 points. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Bob Jenkins, and welcome to Michigan. The point standings really tightened up following last week's Budweiser at the Glen. Now, for those of you who play the numbers, 3 races ago, the number 2 car of Rusty Wallace won at Pocono. 2 races ago, the number 3 car of Dale Earnhardt won at Talladega. Last week, the number 4 car of Ernie Irvan won at Watkins Glen. Could this be the week for number 5, Ricky Rudd, and could he close in the points even closer? Well, he doesn't have a particularly good starting position. He's way back in 12th. But Earnhardt has an even poorer starting position. And for more on that, let's go to pit road and Dr. Jerry Punch.
Well, you're right, Bob. You know, this is the worst place Dale Earnhardt has started since February of 1990 at Richmond, Virginia, when he crashed the car in the final practice session and started shotgun on the field. He will start 26th today. But his concerns are 2. He must win the war, which is the Winston Cup point battle. And after finishing 15th at Watkins Glen, he lost 52 points of the car, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. But he'd like to win the battle, winning the race today. But you know, no one's ever won here at Michigan starting outside the top 10. And both the bow tie banner waivers for Chevrolet, he and Ricky Rudd, 1 and 2 in the points, starting outside the top 10. So they'll have a long way to come toward the front. It is a Ford feast up front because the Ford cars have run awfully well. Dale Earnhardt's got his work cut out for him. He's got a long way to move. Let's go to Benny Parsons.
Jerry, it is going to be exciting watching Earnhardt come up through the field. But Ned, when he gets to the front, 8 of the first 11 qualifiers are Fords.
Well, you know, Benny, the Fords have done okay in qualifying this year. They've won 11 poles to 2 for Chevrolet.
But Chevrolet has won 10 times this year, Ford only 4.
But they're at a track where Fords have done well in the past in the win column. In the past 20 races here, they've won 10 times to 5 for Chevrolet. Boy, that helps to make this sport exciting, doesn't it?
It sure does. And John Kernan, there's some crew members that's been on vacation for a couple of months. They go back to work today, right?
Well, you're exactly right, Benny. The tire specialists have been pretty much sitting back, taking it easy. They've been watching the races, but that's going to change today because we're off the radial, back on the bias ply tire. Now, that again means that a critical factor will be the stagger. Stagger doesn't change in the radials, but these guys will have to be watching for that stagger today. The size of the tire, they'll be busy measuring the tires, checking the air pressure, trying to find the 4 perfect tires to match the setup for their driver. And they feel a little bit more like they're a part of a team because they can help their driver go to victory lane. And Bob, you better believe these guys are going to earn their money today.
And each hoping their driver can claim the big prize here at Michigan. Let's check the Sears Die Hard lineup. On the pole is Alan Kowicke from Greenfield, Wisconsin in the Hooters Ford, number 7, qualifying at 173.431. Alongside Mark Martin in the Folgers Coffee Ford. He's from Batesville, Arkansas, drives car number 6. Row 2 consists of Davey Allison in the Texaco Haviland Ford, car number 28, and then Dawsonville, Georgia's Bill Elliott in the number 9 Coors Light Melling Ford. Going to row number 3, it's Ernie Irvan, last week's winner in the Kodak Film Chevrolet, car number 4, and alongside the Budweiser Baby Ruth Ford, car number 11, driven by Chabon, New York's Jeff Bodine. Darrell Waltrip starts in 7th position, driving the Western Auto Chevy car number 17, and then Sterling Marlin in the Maxwell House Ford, car number 22, Sterling from Columbia, Tennessee. The 5th row is Rusty Wallace from St. Louis in the Miller Genuine Draft Pontiac car number 2, and Morgan Shepherd in the Motorcraft Ford car number 15. Morgan hails from Conover, North Carolina. Dale Jarrett starts in the 11th position inside row number 6 in the Citgo Ford car number 21, and to his outside is Ricky Rudd in the Tide Exxon Chevrolet car number 5. In the 7th row, it's Jimmy Spencer and Harry Gant. Row number 8 is Ted Musgrave and Chad Little. The 9th row, Hud Strickland and Ken Schrader. In row number 10, it's Derry Cope and Bobby Hillen. Going to row number 11, Michael Waltrip and Buddy Baker. There in row number 12, you see Richard Petty and Stanley Smith, who had a win here yesterday. The 13th row, Labonte and Earnhardt. There he is, back outside of row number 13. 14th row, Speed and Brett Bodine. In row number 15, for this afternoon's race, it's Rick Wilson and Rick Mast. Row 16 consisting of Dick Trickle and Joe Ruttman driving a Chevy this weekend. The 17th row, Dave Marcus and Wally Dallenbach. Jimmy Means and Bobby Hamilton make up row number 18. And the last 2 rows consist of Jim Sauter and Mike Chase. And in row number 20, it's H.B. Bailey and Bobby Labonte, car number 44. Michigan International Speedway. This is the final race on a super speedway that is a track over 2 miles in length. This is a 2-mile D-shaped configuration. The pole speed was 173.4 at a time of 41.515 seconds. We'll go 200 laps this afternoon. The field separated by only 1.3 seconds. Michigan International, it is a tri-oval. Now you can see that the main pits are located here on the main straightaway. The banking in the turns, it's 18 degrees down in turns number 1, 2, 3, and 4. The front straight has banking at 12 degrees, and the backstretch a banking of only 5 degrees. It's a very competitive racetrack. There is the bumper cam on Lake Speed's car as he begins to warm up the tires and get set for the competition here this afternoon. Dale Jarrett's front bumper now showing you the picture as he's lined up just behind Rusty Wallace in front of him, Morgan Shepherd to his right, and there is the view that Morgan Shepherd has in the Motorcraft Ford as he gets set to take the green flag and begin our competition here this afternoon. It is an absolutely gorgeous day. It's nice and cool. We don't have hardly any clouds in the sky, and the pace car is about to pull off the racetrack. 40 cars and drivers, and the house is full here this afternoon. Not a seat available anywhere. And the field comes down, accelerating, looking for the green flag. It is flying, and the champion Sparkplug 400 is on.
There was one car in the middle. It looked like Sterling Marlin is having a problem. He is really dropping back. He almost got run over on the start, Bob, but everybody sees now that he is having a problem.
And everybody through turns 1 and 2 okay, heading down the backstretch. Those up front are entering turn number 3 as we go inside Lake Speed's Phillips 66 in-car camera. Morgan Shepherd is on the move. He's on the low side of the racetrack as they head through turns 3 and 4 onto the tri-oval. They come to the stripe and they're side by side. Martin inside and Kowicke outside. Kowicke leads lap 1.
That's always a matter of pride with race car drivers, is leading that first lap, especially if you're on the pole. And Alan Kowicke was able to do that. And Mark Martin looks like he's going to take the lead, especially when Davey Allison comes up behind him. Those two cars together hook up in a draft, and it looks like they might get by Kowicke. At least Martin does.
Here comes Davey Allison to second position. Now he pulls alongside of Alan Kowicke, but Kowicke will not give up the battle as he goes to second now. Ernie Irvan comes into 4th spot, completing lap 2. Jerry Punch has a report on Mark Martin.
Well, Bob, Mark Martin's already dodged one moment here today. Just moments ago, before they gave him the start off pit road, he had an equalized right front tire, so they had to come up and change the right front tire on pit road, and therefore he would have had to pit about lap 3 or 4 anyway for the vibration, so already been pretty lucky here at Michigan.
Bob, I mentioned Sterling Marlin had a little bit of a problem on the start. He didn't drop too far back. He's backed up to running speed now. He perhaps missed the gear on the start, but he's running okay now.
Mark Martin leading.
Look at Rusty Wallace moving around Darrell Waltrip and bringing Bill Elliott with him.
Or Bill Elliott's trying to come with him. Bill's now be in trouble. Those guys on the outside up in the groove.
Bill Elliott and Darrell Waltrip running side by side, coming down the backstretch. Elliott, the winningest active driver here at Michigan International, having won 7 times at this 2-mile facility. Darrell Waltrip, on the other hand, has won twice. Here comes Ricky Rudd moving up to the outside of Morgan Shepherd.
Well, there's Sterling Marlin's car. You can see on the right of the screen just moving around Dale Jarrett. Here comes Kenny Schrader. He said in the driver introduction that his car was strong, and it looks like it is. Kenny Schrader, car number 25.
The side-by-side battle there behind Rusty Wallace is for 7th position. Bill Elliott and Darrell Waltrip. Sterling Marlin running in the middle of this pack. Jerry can update us on what happened to Sterling Marlin there on the start.
Bob, they brought a brand new race car here to this racetrack, and of course one of the problems they had with when they took off and he tried to change gears, the clutch pedal stuck to the floorboard. He couldn't get the clutch pedal to come back up so he could change gears. He had to physically pull the pedal back up with his foot to get the car to change gears, but now he's in high gear and running pretty well.
The concern that I have is what's going to happen when he makes a pit stop. If that clutch should hang down again, he would be in trouble. Davey Allison trying to take that 2nd spot away. We've got 3 Fords in front. The one on the left side of the screen is Mark Martin. He's the leader. The dark car on the inside is Davey Allison. He's trying to take 2nd spot away from Alan Kowicke on the outside in the orange and white car. Alan Kowicke was on the pole today, has a chance to pick up a bonus of $98,800 if he can win the race this afternoon.
Now with those guys side by side, the others hook up in the draft and they close in on this battle for 2nd position. Ernie Irvin running back in 4th spot, and then Jeff Bodine. But Davey Allison and Alan Kowicke continue to run side by side as they go through the 1st and 2nd turns.
And as they do that, not only do those behind them catch up, but Mark Martin is able to pull away.
That's the greatest thing about this racetrack. Those cars can go in the corner wide open at speed and run side by side comfortably, that they're not going to bang off each other. Watch them as they go in the 3rd corner. They can both go in the corner at any speed they want to, and they have a racetrack to run on.
The racetrack is 73 feet wide, giving these drivers lots of maneuvering room. And the battle for 2nd position continues as Martin leads. Running by himself down in the lower groove.
Davey's car must be a little bit loose getting into the turns, because he can get up beside of Alan coming off the turns and look like he's going to move around him, but then when they get to the turn he has to back off a little bit. That's similar to the way he did it here in June in this race, in the early part of the race.
And Dale Earnhardt has smoke coming from the back of his race car. He's a bit off the pace. Here comes Buddy Baker up in car number 20. May have been tire smoke from that car. We'll continue to watch it very, very closely. But Earnhardt, as Jerry indicated to you, has a long way to go, threading his way through the traffic. A little bit of smoke from the car, but I think it may be tire smoke. He's up to 22nd position at the moment. Mark Martin is leading the Champion Spark Plug 400. Alan Kowicke is running in 2nd spot. Then Ernie Irvin, as we have completed 8 laps out of 200 that will make up this event here this afternoon. And our Speed World coverage of the Champion Spark Plug 400 being brought to you by Champion Spark Plugs, the world's #1 selling spark plug, no matter what you drive. By Quaker State, the Big Q is one tough motor oil. And by Today Chevrolet, who invite you to see why more people are winning with the heartbeat of America. You're watching live coverage from Michigan International Speedway. We'll be right back. Today, ESPN is presenting the ESPN Pick the Winning Chevy Sweepstakes. you will have a chance to win a 1991 Chevy Lumina of your choice. The 2-door coupe, 4-door sedan, APB, or the fabulous new Z34. To enter, call 1-900-933-9300 before the halfway lap. You will be asked your phone number and the number of the Chevy car competing in the race which you think will be the first Chevy to finish. The winner will be selected in a random drawing of correct entries and announced in our next Chevy Sweepstakes race coming up. Call in to win right now, 1-900-933-9300.
We can see that once those cars got in line and stopped racing each other behind Martin, they closed right up on his back bumper, and here goes Kowicke for the lead down in turn 1.
Trying to break the draft down low. He is pulling ahead of Mark Martin about a half a car length, and now they're 4 wide through here. Look at this. Mark Martin has to get off the accelerator, getting high on the racetrack, but 3 abreast down the backstretch. Allison, then Jeff Bodine, and Alan Kowicke as Mark Martin gets right on the back bumper of Davey Allison, and Allison takes the lead.
Pretty exciting stuff, huh, Ned?
Well, that's just the way it used to be here at Michigan. It is always exciting to come here and see this wide racetrack. Ooh, they get a little bit close, Kowicke and Jeff Bodine, but always good close racing.
It's a Ford formation up front. The first 4 are Fords, and then Ernie Irvan in the Chevy running in 5th position. There comes Rusty Wallace in the Pontiac as he's 6th. And the battle side by side for 2nd position once again is Jeff Bodine and Alan Kowicke as Davey Allison has grabbed the lead and now begins to move away a bit.
Yes, as these cars are running side by side, the same as it was a moment ago when Mark Martin's the leader is able to gain an advantage, and Kowicke gets in the corner too hard, slips up the racetrack and loses 2 spots, and here comes Irvin trying to get by him.
Once again, 3 abreast racing.
Well, I think that's what Davey Allison needed, was an opportunity. I mentioned earlier that his car might have been a little bit loose on the low side of the racetrack, but once he got in position that he could take the lead, then he could take off. That's exactly the way he did here in June. Once he got out front, he took off.
There's Dale Earnhardt, and look at the action up front once again.
Morgan Shepherd on the inside of Rusty Wallace. There's Kowicke that's going back. He got in the corner just a moment ago, slipped, and has lost 5 or 6 spots since then.
And there comes Morgan Shepherd up to challenge Ernie Irvan. Now, Dale Earnhardt, as we indicated, there was a little bit of smoke seen from that car. Jerry Punch has a report on that situation.
And Bob, just a moment ago, Earnhardt nearly tagged the wall. The car went all the way across the racetrack. Let's find out from Richard Childers. Richard, the car appears to be smoking just a little bit. What's the problem?
Well, we think it's tire smoke because the car's been real loose ever since the start. We're going to try to get him in here and tighten him back up.
Well, again, it's about 10 or 12 degrees warmer today than it was yesterday, and the cars, a lot of them complaining of being awfully loose. Earnhardt among that bunch. Bob?
Dale is currently up into 20th position after starting 26th.
I expect we'll see a lot of drivers that'll call for some help when they make that first pit stop. The sun is shining here today. Really, on Friday, it was overcast, and then, you know, it was not a real sunshiny day like it is today. And yesterday, it was cool and cloudy all day with rain. And now that they're out here running totally in the sunshine, the track will be looser, and I expect there are a lot of race cars that'll be loose today.
We just saw Stanley Smith in the green and black car, the Interstate Battery car, down on the inside. He won the ARCA race here yesterday, 200-miler, and his wife in the hospital. We want to say hello to her today.
And he just made a pit stop, Ben. He had a throttle sticking on his Buick, so he had to make a pit stop. He's back out now running.
Inside Lake Speed's car, the Phillips 66 in-car camera.
That's Rick Wilson, the Snickers Buick, directly in front of Lake Speed. There's Joe Ruttman, the Dinner Bell car, up in front of Rick Wilson.
Dick Trickle has already come in for a 4-tire change on Team 3 Pontiac. And Hut Strickland is a little bit off the pace going into turn 1. He was a real factor here in June, had his best finish ever in 2nd place.
Alan Kowicke and Bill Elliott are running together on the track. That's 7th and 8th position.
Well, I'm going to take that back on Hut Strickland. I just saw him on the low side of the racetrack, but what he was doing was making a pass. He's doing okay, so fans of Hut Strickland don't get upset there. He's moving along okay.
Now, we watch these cars as they come off the racetrack. They're down in that dark part of the racetrack. but Dale Earnhardt is not. Here he is. Now let's follow him if we can down through the first and second corner, and he's fighting a loose race car. Jerry Punch just told us that the car is loose. Now what you're going to do is go up in green racetrack where nobody has been before, trying to grip. See that gray racetrack, Earnhardt?
Oh, he's relaying a whole new streak up there. I mean,
there's nobody, and we see him smoke that right rear tire as he comes through the corner. That means the car is loose, but he's up there where no one else is running, getting that green racetrack.
Morgan Shepherd is making a bid as we jump inside his Motorcraft Ford.
Yeah, trying to move around Ernie Irvin. Now, I'll bet that that's one car, the 15 car of Bud Moore, that was set up a little bit tight today, and that's probably working well for him. They normally like to set the car up pretty tight, and I think that's an advantage for him right now.
This is the battle for fourth position, Morgan Shepherd and Ernie Irvin. We might mention that, yes, it is a totally green racetrack because after yesterday's ARCA race that itself was interrupted by rain, we had a downpour that completely washed the surface free of any rubber that had been built up all weekend. So it's a green racetrack that they race on here today. Our Igloo in-car camera showing you the pictures there momentarily from Morgan Shepherd as he now continues to battle with Ernie Irvin. Puts the Ford slightly ahead of the Chevy as they hit the stripe, but Ernie Irvin battles right back, and Morgan will fall in behind him.
Yeah, on the straightaway, Ernie is able to pull him just a little bit. Now you can see Morgan really drive deep into the turns, and he has the advantage going into the turns and through the turn, but once they hit a straightaway, Ernie is able to pull back, but maybe not this time.
Now this time Morgan was able to clear him in the corner, pulled ahead of the Chevrolet, the Kodak Chevrolet. So Morgan Shepherd running a different line than anybody else. He's running right on the bottom. See how much lower he is than anyone else. As Ned said, car is tight enough. He can run down there, but not too tight that the right front slides across the racetrack.
Davey Allison leads, and Jeff Bodine running in second. There are third, fourth, and fifth. Mark Martin, Morgan Shepherd, and Ernie Irvin. 20 laps completed here in the Champion Spark Plug 400 at Michigan International Speedway. We'll be back in just a moment. Back at Michigan International, Dale Earnhardt has blown a right rear tire. He came down pit road to get it changed, and then all of a sudden the yellow flag came out. So Dale continues on the racetrack to avoid going down a lap, and there is the debris on the racetrack that has caused the yellow, and is probably from Earnhardt's car.
It's probably his tire because the thing has shattered. We'll be able to see the car when he comes around the next time. The right rear tire, the tread has come off and damaged the right quarter substantially on the Goodwrench Chevrolet.
Now, the fans might have seen the pace car out in front of him when he came out of the pits. Now, he came down pit road, went across the start-finish line before Davey Allison came around and the pace car picked Davey up, the leader, going into turn one. So I think that it is right for Earnhardt to go on around and without any penalty. Right?
Yep. I agree with you, but boy, what a calculated risk it is for Earnhardt to drive around with that car vibrating the way it is. It might damage something else.
He has made it, however, to pit road, coming down slowly, according to NASCAR.
And Earnhardt just came into pits with the flag not... I mean, he can't come into pits, can he?
Well, he can come into the pits, but what that means is that he'll go to the rear of the field, which that's okay. He'll take that chance just to keep from taking the chance that you're talking about, Benny. Let's go to the pits with Jerry Punch.
Well, dodging a bullet here already for Earnhardt in Michigan. We might mention that he now is on pit road changing right side tires, and they have already changed a little wedge in the left rear, and now they finally get the car off the jack and pull it away. We might also give a mention that Goodyear's interliner, that interliner or tire within a tire, is what allowed Dale Earnhardt to make those extra laps on the racetrack. Let's go up to John Curran in the Davey Allison pit.
The leader is on pit road. Davey will take on 4 tires. They will go with 4 scuff tires. They're also going to make a slight chassis adjustment. The car has gotten just a little bit tight, so we're expecting to take a round of wedge out. Right side's already on. There is the chassis adjustment on the right side. Left side up, tires going on. The Texaco Haviland crew, led by Larry McGrill, is really hard at work. The tires are on, gas is in, and Davey is away.
And a lot of activity on pit road. All but 4 cars came in. Jerry?
Ernie Irvin completing his service in the pits, as is Harry Gant. Both these cars pulling away. Almost everyone in for a 4-tire change as they race. Remember, they cannot race down pit road, but they're all in line headed down pit road. And fellas, Most every car I saw pit here a minute ago was adding at least 1 and some of them 3 or 4 rounds of bite in the left rear.
So those chassis adjustments that we mentioned that were so needed by some are indeed made during this first round of pit stops. It comes under caution on lap number 24. All but 4 cars came in for a pit stop. We'll be back with more live coverage from Michigan in a moment. Back at Michigan International Speedway, I'm Bob Jenkins, along with Ned Jarrett, Benny Parsons, John Kernan, and Dr. Jerry Punch. Dale Earnhardt remains on the lead lap, but the car still isn't right for him. This is the way championships are won and lost. He comes into this race with a 108-point advantage on Ricky Rudd, but things are not going well here in the early stages. Jerry Punch.
Well, indeed it's not, Bob, and of course they came in and made the right rear tire change. He came back in because something was flapping. Apparently when the tire shredded, the outer lining of the tire shredded, it pulled or vibrated some of the inside of the wheel well away. The wheel well was dangling and hitting the tire, and of course that would just cut another tire there, so he's coming back down pit road, but he has just radioed back into his crew that something is amiss in the chassis of the car. So they're going to bring the car back in as he comes on the pit road to me right now, and the Goodrich 2 will go to the right side of the car and try to look beneath the rear of the car to look at the panhard bar, the rear sway bar, the trailing arms, because Earnhardt has complained that something is amiss in the rear of the car, and they have the car jacked up, and certainly not the way they wanted to start a Sunday afternoon here in Michigan.
There we saw the NASCAR official. We saw the NASCAR. The engine is turned off on the Goodrich Chevrolet. So evidently they found something on that that's going to require some extensive work because they have turned the engine off.
Well, now the pace car is coming off of turn 4. He's still maybe 30 seconds or so from going a lap down, but I'm sure they're keeping their eye on that. But there's Richard Petty. He had his STP Pontiac in up on the jacks. Earnhardt does go back out, so he'll stay in the lead lap. You see the pace car coming off of turn 4, but he and Richard Petty both will get out and stay in the lead lap.
We saw the NASCAR official signal, and they threw a roll of tape over. They're going to try to take some tape and get that right rear quarter from protruding out as badly as it is, because if he would get next to another car, it could cut a tire on another vehicle.
Field is under caution because of debris on the racetrack. H.B. Bailey, the car right behind the pace car, and here's Jimmy Means pitting.
Okay, he had taken the lead, Bob, as a result of everybody else coming into the pit. So the Alka-Seltzer Pontiac of Jimmy Means gets 5 bonus points for leading here at Michigan. He's led a number of races this year, heads-up driving on his part, and saved his pit stop for a little bit later. Jimmy, of course, involved in that tragic accident last week with J.D. McDuffie, or he got into the accident after J.D. had hit the fence. You see them making a chassis adjustment on the Alka-Seltzer Pontiac.
Richard Childress and the team having a big discussion as to what to do and how to. They break up the discussion, and we will see if Dale comes back in for it. Yes, he is. He's coming down pit road once again, headed toward you, Jerry.
Well, I think they may have some serious problems beneath this car, and I heard a discussion a minute ago about something in the rear of the car. They may have to re-weld something. It may have come loose from the frame. They're bringing him back in to jack it up. I was just a minute ago dispatching one of the crew members who cut his finger pretty significantly on some of that torn sheet metal, and we sent him over to the ambulance crew here a minute ago. I turned back around and talked to the crew about the problem with the race car, and now Earnhardt has brought the car in, still sitting in the car. As you can hear, he has shut the motor off in the Goodrich Chevrolet, and they are calling for jack stands on the right side of the car, so they were going to have the car up and on a jack stand for safety reasons, and apparently the bushings have pulled out of the front of the trailing arm. That's the long arm that helps support the rear end. The bushings have been pulled completely out of the front of the trailing arm, which will mean the car will have to come around and come behind pit wall, be put up on jack stands, and have some welding done. So it's going to be a long day, and once again, he's going to lose valuable points in that pursuit of the Winston Cup title.
Well, one thing going in Dale's favor, the yellow remains out because there is a safety vehicle over in turn 1 sweeping debris from it. Well, there are many things that can go wrong during the course of a race, be it mechanical or whatever. We often hear of a blown engine. Well, here's one way in which an engine can blow. Jerry Punch with it.
And long straightaways like Michigan are enemies of valve springs. At the end of this long straightaway, if the wind is blowing down the front straightaway, you can break a valve spring easily at this racetrack. There we see Earnhardt. He didn't break a valve spring.
That's right. It isn't the problem with Dale Earnhardt. They're going to work on the rear end of the race car, but he has pulled behind the wall, and so will now go a lap down at least as they try to make repairs on the GM Goodwrench Chevrolet. Back in a moment at Michigan.
Still sitting in the car here talking to Richard Childress, and who just showed him here a minute ago what the problem was. And Dale, a tough break for you. They were trying to repair, what, a trailing arm?
Well, we blistered a right rear tire, tore a tire up there. It was awful loose with the chassis, and it blew out. And then we were coming around trying to keep from getting lapped. The caution come out, and it tore the bushing out of the trailing arm. So they happened to fix that now. We'll get that fixed. We'll go back out. We're going to lose a couple laps. We'll get right here in a little bit.
Well, Dale's still able to smile here. Maybe we can show you over here again what the problem actually was as they get ready for a green flag start. We'll have our cameraman tilt down here, and we'll show you. This is the bushing that they're talking about in the trailing arm that came out of the right rear. This is the other side of the bushing, the front of the trailing arm that just came apart and began to vibrate when the tire was cut down. They had to come in and replace it with a brand new one here, and now they'll be able to go back out and race, hopefully, and stay within a couple laps of the leaders.
And Jerry, that's exactly what Benny Parsons was talking about, that kind of thing that could happen by going around the racetrack with the flat tire.
Yeah, it bit him this time. He probably would have been better off to have accepted the lap that he was going to lose and come in and change tires. But they made the decision, and again, I would have done the same thing.
Sure.
I think 100% of the fellows down there would have done the same thing, because how often do we see that happen? Not very often.
Those are the snap decisions that you have to make. Sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't. The green flag comes back out. We are racing at Michigan, and Morgan Shepherd is the leader of the race, with Jeff Bodine ranked at Davey Allison second and Bodine third.
Car 24 is a lap down, trying to get by Morgan to get his lap back. But Morgan drives away fairly significantly. And woohoo, there's Schrader, Brett Bodine, and Dale Jarrett, 3 abreast.
And here comes Sterling Marlin in car 22 on the outside, and Jimmy Spencer is there also. And look up front, 3 abreast here is Irvin, Rusty Wallace, and Jeff Bodine.
Wow. Look at this. Darrell Waltrip is on the inside of his brother. Well, what was he, 5 abreast, Ned?
They were 5 abreast down through there, and Michael came way down on his brother, who had to take to the apron of the racetrack to make it 5 wide.
Dale Jarrett is thanking the Lord that he's looking at his rearview mirror. This miss, almost. Was that Spencer that got sideways? Looked like Jimmy Spencer got sideways, almost ran into someone.
Schrader pushed the button and said, "Let me get out of this mess."
Up front, meanwhile, it is Martin, Irvin, and Bill Elliott. And Elliott, he bumps Mark Martin as he slides up the racetrack.
He decided that he would get behind Mark Martin, and he made that move awfully fast. And Dave Marcus in the Big Apple Market Chevrolet right behind Dale Earnhardt. Great run today for Marcus.
We have not seen Michigan racing like this in many years. And this looks like Daytona and Talladega.
Mark Martin comes down, tries to get a little draft off the Dick Trickle car. And here comes Irvin on the inside of Elliott.
The fellas, on this restart again, the 22 car, Dale Earnhardt, about to go back out of the pits, but the 22 car, Sterling Marlin, went back again. Evidently, he had a similar problem to what he did on the start of the race.
Morgan Shepherd leads. Then it's Davey Allison, Jeff Bodine, Rusty Wallace, and then this group of cars led by Mark Martin. There's Ricky Rudd as he makes his way up through the field, running alongside Dave Marcus. He, of course, wants very much to take advantage of the Dale Earnhardt problem. Now, you ask, could there be a change of lead after this race in the point standings? Yes. If Rudd can win the race and Earnhardt finishes 30th or worse, Rudd could take the points lead.
Well, I think that Dale Earnhardt is definitely looking at a finish in the 25-30 area. Now, all Rudd's got to do is win the race.
And that isn't going to be an easy task, given the fact that these Fords are looking good up front.
Looking at the front of Dale Jarrett, sit go forward as he follows Ricky Rudd into turn 1.
And Dale Earnhardt lost 6 laps. If you want to know, he lost 6 laps repairing that trailing arm bushing.
Rudd moving down to race alongside Dick Trickle in the Team 3 car, which announced earlier this week officially that Kenny Wallace will have the seat in this machine all of next year.
Now, Dale Jarrett doesn't know which one to follow. Surely he's not going to try to go between them. Don't do that, Dale.
Rudd comes up to racetrack, and Dick Trickle backs out of the throttle, squeezes out just enough that Ricky can get in.
Rick Wilson in the pits, an unscheduled pit stop on the Snickers Buick.
Here comes Ken Schrader. He is alongside of the 71 car of Dave Marcus.
Now Dick Trickle moves out of the way. He is at least a lap down. He made an unscheduled pit stop for a vibration, changed all 4 tires, had a tire to equalize.
Ken Schrader started 18th in the grid.
Schrader, his car handling well on the bottom of the racetrack.
Looks like Ernie Irvin is too, as he's below Mark Martin.
Race for 6th spot. Ernie trying to get away from Martin so he won't slow the cars down, and pulls up right in front of Mark Martin. Harry Gant, meanwhile, the Skull Bandit has pulled up on the back bumper of these 2 cars.
Now, Benny, when Irvin went back in front of Martin there, now Martin trying to go back around him, but to us, looked at it coming on the TV, it looked like he pulled back too quick, but his spotter was up there and said clear. That means he can pull back in front of him. He knew that it was okay.
This is Morgan Shepherd, our leader. Pulls up right on the back bumper of Dale Earnhardt, trying to put Earnhardt 7 laps down.
And Mark Martin is making a bid once again for that position, currently held by Ernie Irvin.
Our pole sitter, Alan Kowicke in the Hooters Ford, following that group. Harry Gant, Ernie Irvin. And Martin's hung down on the inside.
6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th here.
And Sterling Marlin is entering pit road with an unscheduled pit stop. So maybe that clutch problem persists as we watch Mark Martin and Alan Kowicke, the pair of Fords, race side by side. There's the Jerry Punches down there.
Benny, it's not the clutch problem. They have a vibration, and they're going to change right side tires. They saw what happened to Dale Earnhardt when he ran out there with a very, very loose race car, which began to vibrate. He lost a tire. They don't want the same fate to happen to the Maxwell House Ford. So they will come in and change right side tires. He will not lose a lap. Well, in fact, he will lose a lap as he comes exiting down pit road here from the leader toward turn 1.
Only a 12-second pit stop for Sterling Marlin, but yes, he goes a lap down as the front runners pass him by at top speed. Mark Martin.
Ooh, boy, he about went up there too quick. His spotter didn't say clear, I'll bet. He thought he was clear.
That looked like the old slide job in dirt racing. We are 38 laps into this race, and at this point, all 40 cars are still running.
Richard Pettit just made an unscheduled pit stop in the STP Pontiac.
There's a leader, Morgan Shepherd, car 15, and Davey Allison is running second as Morgan tries to put Dale Earnhardt 7 laps down, but he has not been able to do that so far. We're glad you could join us on this beautiful Sunday afternoon from the Irish Hills of Michigan for the Champion Spark Plug 400. We are back at Michigan, and there is a new leader. Davey Allison in car number 28 has grabbed the lead away from Morgan Shepherd. And Dale Earnhardt is down there on the low groove trying to keep himself 6 laps down and not 7.
He's running good now,
yeah.
Bob.
Car appears to be running much better. Again, he's 6 laps down after a tire created some problems at the rear end of the race car. Moments ago, Benny almost had a heart attack.
Man, I tell you what, I just knew that Morgan Shepherd, that he and Earnhardt was going to get together, because Earnhardt was on the bottom. And here comes Morgan on the inside trying to get by Dale Earnhardt one more time. 3 abreast. 3 abreast.
Oh, there's Jeff Bodine trying to stick his nose in there as well.
That is for second. The red 11 is Jeff Bodine trying to take second place away from Morgan Shepherd.
Allison leads, side-by-side battle for second. Jeff Bodine gets it. And of course, Bodine made it official earlier this week that he would not be back with the Junior Johnson team next year. A replacement driver for him has not been named on the Johnson team. Meanwhile, Mark Martin here continues to run with Harry Gant, Alan Kowicke, and Mark Martin may be having a problem. How about it, Jerry?
We've seen his car slipping up across the racetrack the last few laps, and the reason is Mark is driving with one hand. He's using his right hand to hold the gear shift in gear. It's been flying out of gear since about lap 5. They have a bungee cord tied to the gear shift, but it's either too long or too short, so he's having to hold it in gear and drive with his left hand, so he's doing a heck of a job out there one-handed.
Well, he certainly is. And of course, he had a bit of a disappointment last week at Watkins Glen, spinning on that last lap while running second. We asked him, do you have any regrets about that last lap at Watkins Glen?
I've had a lot of people ask me, why didn't you just do this? Why didn't you just do that? You know, I would have done this, I would have done that. That's okay. I believe that I did the right thing. And I believe that if I would have been in the positions would have been switched around, I believe that it may have not went down that way. But I don't care. I believe in my heart that I did the right thing. NASCAR wouldn't have to police that jump if the drivers would do the right thing on a racetrack. If I would have got two more feet in there, I'd have been more than happy to push Ernie out to the grass. You know, it'd have been my racetrack then, but it wasn't mine. It wasn't mine to take, and I wasn't gonna win it that way.
Interesting comment from Mark Martin.
Pretty class comment. Yeah,
sure was.
Yeah, he can sleep well at night. Not worry about it. And he feels, you know, the tide will turn some days.
The incident he is referring to is right here when he went into turn number 1. This was beginning the last lap. He went inside of Ernie Irvan.
And we can see that he was only up to that right rear tire on Irvan's car. If he had went in the corner at the speed they were going to, both those cars was going to spin. He was not far enough along. The driver has to make that decision. He made that decision. I'm not far enough to go in there. 3 more feet, he would have went alongside Irvan. And here we are. This is live shot from Michigan International Speedway.
Look who he's found again. Yeah, it's Ernie Irvan.
There's Ernie.
Irvan, meanwhile, closes in on Rusty Wallace.
That's for 5th spot.
The running order is Allison, Jeff Bodine, Morgan Shepherd, Bill Elliott, then Wallace and Irvan.
Mark Martin, Harry Gant, Kenny Schrader, Alan Kowicke, Dale Jarrett, Ricky Rudd, Michael Walter, Hut Strickland, Jimmy Spencer, Dave Marcus, and Darrell Walter.
Once again, here's how to enter the ESPN Pick the Winning Chevy Sweepstakes. Dial 1-900-933-9300 before the halfway lap. Then stay tuned to see which car is the first Chevy to finish. If your entry is selected and you have given the correct Chevy winner, you will win your choice of any Chevy Lumina, including the fabulous Z34. Ernie Irvan, of course, was the first Chevy to finish last weekend at Watkins Glen. Not only the first Chevy to finish, but the first driver to finish overall, as he took his second victory of 1991. First since the opener at Daytona. Oh, look at Rusty Wallace.
When you see that right rear smoking, that means that he has got the car out of shape. And he had it out of shape. Get it in the corner. Ooh, that takes a driver's breath when that happens. And the 28 car, Davey Allison, our leader, is slowing.
He is slowing dramatically on the apron of the racetrack in turn number 3.
Understand that maybe he has a tire going down, Bob. It'll be an unscheduled pit stop, and he indeed is coming into the pits.
Look at this.
Where did Mark Martin come from? He wasn't even in the picture a moment ago.
And Wallace and Ernie Irvan are so close that you can hardly see between them. John Kernan is there with the Davey Allison pit stop.
They think that a left tire has equalized. They're not sure which one. They're going to change all 4 tires, so they will go ahead and fill him up with gas while they do have him in. Davey dominated the race here in June, as we've just seen. He has clearly had the fastest car, but they felt the vibration in the tire, and he had to come in. They did not want to take the chance that Earnhardt did and possibly blow a tire. Davey is down and away 4 new tires.
I don't think he's going to stay on the lead lap, as here comes the battle for the lead toward the stripe. That is Morgan Shepherd inside and Jeff Bodine outside, and Davey Allison does go a lap down.
If your favorite is a red Ford, you're doing real good today.
Jeff Bodine pulls the Junior Johnson prepared Budweiser car out front, as the Motorcraft Ford is right there with him.
And you wonder why I talk about when the driver's handling so well on the bottom of the racetrack, why that's an advantage. Because it's such a shorter distance around this racetrack. Bob said, how wide is the racetrack?
73 feet.
73 feet. So if you go down 60 feet and make the corner, you've decreased the distance a great deal.
Not a 2-mile track then, is it?
Exactly.
Back back in the pack, meanwhile, some great racing still going on as Ernie Irvan leads this group of cars. There is Rusty Wallace and Gant and Schrader and Kowicke.
Well, a couple of cars have gone to the garage. Rick Wilson in the Snickers Buick and Bobby Lavani in the Slim Jim Oldsmobile. Now, every time a car goes to the garage area, that helps Dale Earnhardt. He was back in 38th place after he came back out on the track. So, you know, his best situation going today is for a lot of cars to fall out. Stanley Smith is coming back out of the garage. He had gone in for a while in the Interstate Batteries car, but he's coming back on the track.
Now Ken Schrader moves down under Harry Gant, and Alan Kowicke will come along, and Davey Allison is there with this group of cars.
Yeah, watch him come right through them. With those new tires on, he should be able to just mow right through them. And the leader's not too far in front of that pack of cars that he's going through there right now, so he might be able to catch them and get back in the lead lap.
It's going to be hard to mow through them if they don't get in line, but they're side by side.
He's got to have some running room, don't he?
He must be fuming there. He's got a car that's probably a second a lap faster than these fellas, and they run side by side. He's saying, "Oh, he's going to
try the middle."
He had a notion. He had a notion, but he said, "No, that's not."
Oh, yes, he did.
He really did. He wanted to go between those cars so bad you could just see it. It was like me looking at a big steak.
That's the best out of it.
I'm glad you admit it, though. That's We'll keep an eye on the racing here at Michigan International while we take another break. There goes Davey, finally getting around Ken Schrader, and now he should be able to mow through those cars that we talked about earlier. We'll be back in just a moment to the champion Spark Plug 400. Well, going to break, we showed you 6 through 10. Thought you might want to be informed as who's running 1 through 5. So here they are. Jeff Bodine is the leader of the race, followed by Morgan Shepherd, then Bill Elliott, Mark Martin, and Ernie Irvan. And 6 through 10, Rusty Wallace, then Schrader, Gant, Kowicke, and Dale Jarrett running in 10th position. Already a fourth of this race has been completed. Look at this windshield and how dirty it is. This is Lake Speed's.
I tell you what, he must have been following someone losing some oil or something, because this is unusually dirty. This is terrible.
Now Davey Allison, as we indicated when we went to break, would be slicing through the traffic, and indeed he is. Now he has 4 new tires, but is a lap down to the field.
And we see when he goes around on the bottom of the racetrack, you see what kind of an advantage he has on the Earnhardt car that's running on the outside. That's what I was referring to a moment ago. Just the difference in the distance. And here comes Brett Bodine. The Quaker State Buick is coming down pit road with an unscheduled stop.
And then he's been into someone, the side of that Quaker State Buick, the right side. You can see there that the door is bent in pretty good on that car. I don't know who he has been into, but they're going under the hood. That's not a good sign, certainly not under a green flag condition.
No, it sure isn't.
Brett Bodine was running in about 13th position a few laps ago, but now comes in for a pit stop. And the 19 car of Chad Little appears to have gotten into the wall.
And we can see that we saw a little bit of a smoke coming off the car. I would imagine that he's knocked some sheet metal in against the tire, and it's rubbing the quarter panel or right front fender. So he needs to come in and get that sheet metal away from that tire. That's one chance that you take when you run so high on the racetrack. One slip and you see the side of the 19 car, that's exactly what happens to you.
Well, while they go to work on the number 19 Tyson car driven by Chad Little, we'll go back to the racetrack and show you that Jeff Bodine is stretching out his advantage on second place Morgan Shepherd, while Bill Elliott now runs third, followed by Mark Martin and Ernie Irvan.
And Rick Wilson in the Snickers Buick is coming back on the racetrack.
That's one that Ned mentioned just a few minutes ago, was behind the wall, but put him back onto the racetrack.
This is by far the best run that Jeff Bodine has had this year. And it's an amazing thing, because you think that emotionally that the team would be disturbed. But
I would think that Jeff, after having driven for Junior for the last couple of years, would very much like to give Junior a win before he steps out of this car.
You're exactly right. Not only for Junior, but for Jeff as well.
The racing has calmed down just a little after the first 60 laps were virtually run side by side. Many positions being contested 2, 3, 4, and even 5 abreast. But now we have been under green for several laps, and the field begins to get strung out just a little bit. On the left of your screen there was Dale Earnhardt, and for those of you just joining us, he is 6 laps down. And the action there in the pack, 6, 7, and 8, Wallace, Schrader, and Gant.
Now, Schrader was really coming up through the pack after he made the pit stop, but right now he's sort of settled in there. He must have used his tires up pretty good. There's Alan Kowicke trying to make a pass on the 8th place car of Harry Gant. Can't quite do it.
A little further ahead of this group, the number 9 car of Bill Elliott runs in 3rd position, and there is Davey Allison as he again tries to get back to the front of the field and get his lap back. And it isn't totally impossible to lose a lap here and still end up winning the race.
Oh no, this car, he's got a car that he can win the race today. He's going to need a couple of breaks, but
Rusty Wallace has done it before, and he's getting ever so much closer to the leaders. He is definitely gaining. I'm talking about Davey Allison. He is gaining on the 1st and 2nd place cars of Jeff Bodine and Morgan Shepherd. So if this thing stays green for a while, he'll be able to get back in the lead lap, in my opinion.
Davey Allison is in 30th position at the moment, a lap down. There are your first 2. Jeff Bodine, a little bit of tire smoke from the right rear of that car as he went through the 18 degrees of banking there in the 1st and 2nd turns.
And Derek Cope is coming down pit road. He was black flagged the last lap by NASCAR. And I don't know, I did not see the car smoking or anything else. But
well, they said somebody was leaking some oil out there, Benny, and that might have been what was getting on the windshield of Lake Speed.
Let's go to Jerry for a report.
That's exactly right, Ned and Benny. He has an oil leak. We see the car come by us here. The windshield has a little bit of oil in it, but there's oil all over the back of the car. So now the Pure Leader crew will go beneath the Derek Cope car. A tough break for a young man who only got to complete 1 lap here in June. He had an engine problem, and now he has another problem here in Michigan.
So that's what we saw on the windshield of Lake Speed's car a moment ago, was just a thin film of oil. And once you get that oil on the windshield, you pick up debris. We can see the oil over the back where it says Pure Leader. There, you see the fellow wipe it off. A graphic.
And here's the result of that. Oil all over the front windshield of Lake Speed's car.
That's the oil. That's the thin film of oil. Now the dust comes up and collects to it.
The advantage to running up front and staying clear of all of this. Look at the difference in the windshields on Lake Speed and the shot from the Igloo in-car camera in Morgan Shepherd's machine.
Morgan Shepherd knows that he is, as they take the Pure Leader Chevrolet of Derek Cope behind the wall, you can see there. But Morgan Shepherd, he knows he's running on a sunshiny day. Lake Speed thinks the clouds
is going to rain. Well, the Bob Whitcomb team will be intact next year as they have re-signed with Pure Leader and with Derek Cope. So we'll expect them back in 1992. We'll be back with more live coverage of the Champion Spark Plug 400. 65 laps out of 200 completed at Michigan International Speedway in the Champion Spark Plug 400. And Thursday night, some great NFL preseason action headed your way live here on ESPN at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Join us for the LA Rams and the Houston Oilers, 8 o'clock next Thursday night. Great game on ESPN last night, won by the Giants over the Jets. And there's some great racing going on the racetrack here at Michigan. We're inside Dale Jarrett's car. And look at this 2 abreast racing. That's Schrader and Harry Gant, Rusty Wallace, and right there is Dale Jarrett.
He's trying to figure out which one of these guys is going to be the best. And really and truly, it's not a factor which one's the best. It's which one can get through the corner and not slip. Now, Harry Gant's going to try to come down on the inside of Schrader. No, he decided to better than that.
And he made a good choice. But Harry has to back off going into the turns. Apparently his car has gotten loose and just not getting through the turns too good. They've had that. And here comes Alan Kowicke up on the outside of Dale Jarrett. But now Davey Allison is about to unlap himself. He has caught the leader, Jeff Bodine, in the Budweiser Ford.
Look at Harry Gant going from inside to outside.
And Kowicke has caught this bunch of cars. And Schrader's on the outside.
And Davey Allison is about to get his lap back. We mentioned his slicing through the traffic. He is about to complete the cut here if he can get around Jeff Bodine and get back on the lead lap. And the number 28 Haviland Ford not able to yet as Jeff Bodine keeps him back there.
But he's going that short way around the bottom side of the racetrack. And one reason he can do that is he stopped he has about 20 laps less on his tires than the other fellows do.
And Rusty Wallace almost got into Schrader a lap ago. Look at this.
Boy, they did get close together up there high on the racetrack.
And Harry Gant's diving for the grass. I know it's safe down there.
Get me out of here.
Pit stops will be coming up here very shortly, fellas.
Average speed of the race, 139.5 miles an hour. We've had one caution period for debris on the racetrack caused when Dale Earnhardt's right rear is shredded, putting him 6 laps down.
And Dave Martins leaves the pit road after having a great run so far. Here
Allison.
comes Davey way down the inside. That's Mike Chase in the Copenhagen car, A.J. Foyt's car.
Yep, carrying number 14.
And there comes our leader, Jeff Bodine. I tell you what, these first 2 guys, I don't think any 2 guys could have a better run needs a better run than these first 2 guys, Jeff Bodine and Morgan Shepherd. They have both been struggling this year.
You know, there are 6 drivers who won last year who have not won this year, and one of them is Jeff Bodine. The other 5 are Kowicke, Shepherd, Martin, Cope, and Bodine. And the 6th car, we understand, is going to be coming in next time for a pit stop. We're riding with Morgan Shepherd, second place car. Watching for Mark Martin. Indeed, he does drop down off the 18 degrees of banking and heads down pit road. Mark Martin has the Folgers Ford ready, and Jerry Punch is ready to describe the action.
Indeed, Bob, this will be a scheduled pit stop here for the Folgers team. They pitted on lap 24, so they like to run a little over 44 to 45 laps. Remember, the maximum speed on pit road 50 miles per hour, and so the Folgers car now will come to a halt, and they will change all 4 tires under green. Very important. They're concerned about some tire wear up here and equalizing some tires, so they will take right side and left side tires. 11 cars, the leader, Jeff Bodine, up in turn 4, and he will head this way. And of course, he will have to pit in another 3 or 4 laps as Bodine will come by and put Mark Martin in the lap now. Mark Martin leads pit road, and Bodine hits for turn 1.
Great pit stop for a change of 4 tires. 20 seconds. That'll be hard to beat. Bill Elliott coming in. So is Ernie Irvin coming in.
A fantastic pit stop for that Jack Roush crew. 20 seconds.
Ernie Irvin brings the Kodak Film Chevrolet to a halt, and John Kernan is there with Bill Elliott.
It looks to be just a 2-tire change as they go right sides, but an adjustment, a chassis adjustment by Ernie Elliott on the left rear. And Bill Elliott is away. A lot of activity going up and down pit road.
Ernie Irvin pulls out. Michael Waltrip pitted just ahead of Ernie.
Now, Elliott and Irvin only changed right side tires, whereas Mark Martin changed all 4. But if you do it in 20 seconds, you can afford to make that kind of a pit stop.
And Morgan Shepherd, the red car right in the center of the screen, is just now driving into his pit. There comes Rusty Wallace, the black and gold car, making a pit stop. John Kernan is down with Morgan.
They look over the left side tires. Apparently, they're going to go for a 2-tire change. Right side's already going on, waiting for the gasoline to go in. Morgan sitting here, finally a full tank. He's away down pit road to Jerry Punch.
And the man who's won here twice before, Rusty Wallace, gets in. He will get all 4 tires on the Roger Penske-owned Miller Genuine draft car. A little bit of trouble with the left front. Now they get the tire back on. Well, a 4-tire change for Rusty Wallace, and they will take the time. Now he's off the jack and away.
A winner here in Michigan in 1988 and 1989. Rusty Wallace pulls back out onto the racetrack just ahead of Hut Strickland, and John Kernan is there as Alan Kowicke comes in.
Well, our pole sitter brings it down slowly. Again, 50 miles an hour. He brings it in close. They will make a chassis adjustment on the left side. 2 tires. Once again, they're beating up the spoiler. Get just a little more downforce on the rear end of the car. Kowicke revving the engine. First can of gas in. The tires are on. Lug nuts are tight. Waiting. They clean off the front grille. Allen is away. And Jeff Bodine is coming in. Let's go to Jerry Punch.
And a man who has led many times but never won here in Michigan, Jeff Bodine, will bring the Budweiser-sponsored Ford down pit road. Tim Brewer and the rest of the Junior Johnson crew await the arrival of Jeff Bodine. Now, Bodine pitted on lap 24. That means he has now run 50 laps under green, getting pretty good fuel mileage. He brings the car to a halt, and just like Mark Martin and Rusty Wallace, he will change all 4 tires. They have taken the lug nuts off the left side, cleaned the windshield, and the Budweiser crew hustling now They saw a great pit stop by Steve Beal. Robert Pemberton is pitting up pit road a minute ago, about 20 seconds and a half with 4 tires. They had the left side tires going on, and Ricky Rudd comes down pit road in the Tide Chevrolet. He did for his pit stop. The left side tires are on, and the Budweiser Ford moves back to turn 1.
Here comes Rudd. He pulls out of the pits. They had trouble there on the left front of Jeff's car, resulting in a slower pit stop than Mark Martin's 22nd. Took about 25 to replace all 4 tires on Jeff Bodine's car. Ricky Rudd, who finished 8th here in the June race, comes back out onto the racetrack. Darrell Waltrip comes in as Terry Labonte goes out.
We see Darrell Waltrip coming in. He's one of the fellows that gets great fuel mileage. Now, as soon as Harry Gant makes his pit stop, we'll know that all pit stops have been completed.
And Kenny Schrader. Now, there'll be a race to see which one can go the farthest.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about Schrader. Here comes Harry Gant. He decides to come in, and you're right, Ned. Schrader stays on the racetrack, and Gant's coming down in the pits.
Harry Gant makes his way slowly toward pit road as Darrell Waltrip at the bottom of your screen has completed the work on his car and pulls out. So Harry Gant comes in. Ken Schrader has yet to make a pit stop, and so he is the leader at the moment of the Champion Spark Plug 400 with 76 laps completed. We'll be right back. Back live at Michigan International Speedway in the Champion Spark Plug 400 Winston Cup race. 78 laps are completed, and Ken Schrader in car number 25 is the leader of the race, but will need a pit stop very, very soon, probably within the next 2 laps.
They must be generating fuel on that car. He just runs forever, ever, and never stops for gas.
The other leaned out.
There we see the Budweiser Ford. We're looking out of the back of, what's this, Morgan Shepherd's car?
Dale Jarrett.
Dale Jarrett's
right there beside
Sitco car.
Yeah. Lake Speed.
And now inside Lake Speed's car, Phillips 66 in-car camera providing the shots there. That's Jarrett to the left.
And Jarrett beat Jeff Bodine out of the pits, but he only changed 2 tires. He made a 13-second pit stop, and now the leader finally comes in. Schrader comes in, and Jerry Punch is going to be right there.
And you know, the reputation for this car getting good gas mileage precedes it. In fact, some of the other teams were asking Kenny Schrader, said, hey, it's only a 400-mile race day. Are you going to have to stop for fuel? You know, so he's run roughly 55 laps. In fact, Richard Bruce said they may be able to make it as much as 60 or 61 laps between fuel stops. And that's what gave Schrader a good shot at having a finish here back in June. And now he brings the Kodiak Chevrolet to a halt, and they will change right side tires only. No 4-tire change here for the Kodiak Chevrolet team. Right side tires going on. They fill it up with fuel, and they're holding to get all the fuel in. Now he's far down and away. Pretty good pit stop.
14-second pit stop for Ken Schrader. So that puts, at the moment, Davey Allison in the lead. But remember, he is way off sequence as far as pit stops are concerned, and he will need a pit stop in probably 10 or so laps.
I would dare say that that's probably correct. He stopped about 30 or 40 laps ago, so.
Well, he stopped on lap 49, and we're at 80 now, so you're right, Ben. It was 31 laps ago, so he will have another pit stop coming up, perhaps in 15 laps.
And their second and third, Bill Elliott and the number 15 car of Morgan Shepherd.
And the reason that they're in front ahead of Jeff Bodine is they changed 2 tires.
Getting closer to the halfway point. Call now to enter the ESPN Pick the Winning Chevy Sweepstakes. Call 1-900-933-9300 before the halfway lap. If your entry is selected and you have given the correct Chevy winner, you can win a new Chevy Lumina Z34. Stay tuned to see which car is the first Chevy to finish. And we are now 19 laps away from the halfway point. We've completed 81 circuits. 100 the halfway mark of the Champion Spark Plug 400.
This is inside the Igloo, inside Morgan Shepherd's car, or Igloo in car. I can't say those words. Help me, Bob. Come on.
Davey Allison continues to hang on the lead, but will be pitting before too much longer. Second and third right here, Bill Elliott and Morgan Shepherd. Take another break and be back with more of our live coverage in just a moment. Stop lap number 19 on the Winston Cup Trail for 1991. Davey Allison, our leader. And here is the battle for second position. Bill Elliott, car 9, and Morgan Shepherd in 15. Shepherd moves inside. They head for turn number 3. That's Sterling Marlin there on the low side also. And Shepherd backs off. Elliott hangs on to second.
Boy, Bill Elliott used Sterling Marlin to his advantage that time. He kept low on the racetrack, pulled right up, and made Morgan run in there and back off.
Helmet cam. That helmet, the camera is mounted on Morgan Shepherd's helmet as he goes down the front straightaway. This is going in turn 1.
He ought to get swimmy headed, bouncing around like that.
Look at him work on that steering wheel, back and forth.
Because he only got one glove on. He's got a glove on the left and not on the right.
I don't understand that. This is down the back straightaway. We can see that there's no real turning effort there. He's going in turn 3.
Ricky Rudd is in. This is an unscheduled pit stop, right, Jerry?
Indeed it is. Ricky just called a minute ago, and the crew jumped up on the wall, and they will change all 4 tires. Now, I have not heard anything on the radio. I would have to guess that they probably have a vibration, and they can't afford to take a chance. They saw what happened to Earnhardt, and remember, Ricky Rudd is currently second in the point standing, so they will change all 4 tires. The tide crew getting left side tires home, including the windshield. It will be a costly pit stop under green.
22.6 seconds on the pit stop by Ricky Rudd.
Richard Childers has to be rubbing his hands with glee down there because this is going to put Rudd out of sequence in a lap down.
You got to take advantage of situations when they come your way, and Rudd had a situation earlier when Dale Earnhardt had his problem. So Davey Allison continues to lead here at the moment. In the race here 8 weeks ago, he dominated the event, leading 107 out of 200 laps. Davey, do you think you can win 2 in a row here at Michigan International?
We brought the same car back, the same engine, it's the same racetrack. It's a little bit later in the year, and maybe we can just sort everything out and be ready for this weekend as good as we were for the last time here. But you know as well as I do that there's a lot of tough competition here, and we had the whole package right the last time, and everybody else had one area or the other, either a horsepower or the handling. And this time there's probably going to be somebody else that has the whole package right.
Well, it appears as if this team has the package right again, but remember, he did have a problem and made an unscheduled pit stop, got off sequence, and now it's just going to come down to what happens the rest of the way.
We talked about Kenny Schrader, what great fuel mileage that he got while he was out there, and he ran 10 laps longer than Mark Martin. 10 laps, 20 miles longer than Mark Martin before he made his pit stop, but yet he's going very slow in those last 10 laps, slower than the fellows that's been in and gotten tires. So Davey Allison, it may be an advantage. It may work out that he was able to stop early, had to stop early, but it may end up being an advantage before the day is over.
Well, he'll be coming into the pits perhaps in the next 5 or so laps, Benny. According to our calculations here, we'll see when he does come in. When Ricky Rudd made his pit stop a little bit ago, he was running in about 15th position. Of course, he has gone a lap down now and is back in 23rd position.
I'm impressed with the way Davey is able. Oh, here, Davey's crew is getting ready, but he's out there with tires with 15, 20 laps more than the other competitors, and yet he's still staying ahead of them. So his package, as he called it a moment ago, looks pretty good.
15 cars are on the lead lap as we approach the halfway point. This will complete lap number 91 for Davey.
And he's coming in.
Yep. That's going to give the lead now to Bill Elliott. And we'll go to John Kernan as Allison rolls toward his pit.
Well, as we've been documented, Davey got off schedule by pitting and changing 4 tires earlier. Had a tire equalized. We found out it was the right rear tire that equalized. This will be just a 2-tire change as they put 2 on the right side. They take a look at the left side tires. Ryan Pemberton, the tire specialist. The gas is in. 12.3 seconds, a lightning fast stop for Davey.
And that'll leave him in the lead lap, John.
Yep.
But they did not get the car full of fuel. The gas man was chasing the car as it left, and they decided not to get it full of fuel.
Elliott just coming out of turn number 4 as Allison pulls back on the racetrack in turn number 1. Here comes first and second Elliott and Shepherd. But Davey will stay on the lead lap, and now we will get a better indication of exactly how good that package is. He has stayed on the lead lap, but is going to be at least a half a lap behind those running up front.
Now, he went 42 laps that time on that tank of fuel, but as Benny says, he didn't get the car full that time, so he might not be able to even go that far the next time. So what you were talking about being an advantage overall today might not be that much of an advantage because they didn't get it full fuel.
Riding with Morgan Shepherd, the Igloo in-car camera. A little bit of oil seen also in that windshield as he's following the leader, Bill Elliott.
Yeah, we can see where they cleaned the windshield on the pit stop. The left side much clearer than the right side. They only clean the windshield direct in front of the driver. They figure he has no use looking out the right side. And that's true unless here in Michigan, when you run that high groove, you sometimes want to look out to that right side and see the wall. Right there, you want to see how close you are.
I wouldn't want to. There's the helmet cam once again as we see Morgan fight the car through the third and fourth turns. Remember, he's on 18 degrees of banking here. Look at him, saw that wheel.
Man, he is really, you're making the car, you got to make it go left. You jerk it, it's got to go left. And as soon as you jerk it to make it go left, it may want to get loose and you got to go back to right and keep catching it.
You don't think race drivers are athletes? Put your arms up and do that for 200 laps.
And again, when we watch that car going around the corner from a camera up on top of the roof, we can't see the car bobbling. That's because Morgan Shepherd feels it before it starts to slide. He feels it getting loose, and he corrects before the car ever makes a bobble. And that's what experience, that's why we talk about the experience being such a factor. That's what you learn after 5 or 6 years driving these things. See how smooth it looks, Bob?
Yep, he's running a much lower line than Elliott is, but it appears from this vantage point as a very smooth surface.
It looks like, looking at it that way, it looks like even you could do it.
I wouldn't go so far as to say that. I guarantee you one thing, I'm not going to try. Elliott leads. Morgan Shepherd is second. Ernie Irvin is third. Mark Martin fourth. And the number 11 car of Jeff Bodine is fifth here at Michigan. Back at Michigan International Speedway, Bob Jenkins along with Ned Jarrett, Benny Parsons, John Kernan, and Dr. Jerry Punch. We're watching Lake Speed. The Trop Arctic Pontiac. 22nd position, only 3 laps away from the halfway point. Now we look at Morgan Shepherd. We saw his helmet cam a few minutes ago, him sawing the wheel. You can see where the camera is. It's right down there on the bottom part of the helmet.
Yeah, I see it. Right there.
It doesn't look like he's working as hard from this angle, does it?
No.
But watch this when he goes into the turn. He's on the backstretch right now. But watch as he sets the car into turn number 3. And look at him work the wheel now.
Okay, watch him as he makes the car go left, then comes back and catches it. Go left a little bit. Now, come back and catch it.
Now, if he knew just exactly how much to turn it, he's scrubbing off just a little bit of speed there when he's turning it that way. But it's hard to get to know exactly how much you need to turn it. And really, he's not turning it that much. He wouldn't be scrubbing off much speed.
He even had an opportunity there to reach up and scratch his nose. Did you know that?
Yeah.
How does he get to it?
That's a good question. One more lap and we'll reach the halfway point of this race.
What he's doing is pushing these goggles back up. Yeah, the perspiration on his nose and forehead makes him slip down, and so he pushes them back up.
There we see Morgan Shepherd going through the bottom of the racetrack up in 3 and 4. Trying to find him a groove, trying to find him a faster way around the racetrack, a way that will allow him to pass that 9-car Bill Elliott.
Doyle Ford shows them cross flags. 100 laps have been completed, halfway point.
Now, that wire that you see going up to the steering wheel there, that's for the two-way radio. So he just pushes a button when he wants to talk right there about where his thumb is, and makes it very easy for him.
It's now the halfway point of the race. All phone-in entries for this week's ESPN Pick the Winning Chevy Sweepstakes are now closed. The winner of the sweepstakes will be announced in our next Chevy Sweepstakes race. You can call 1-900-933-9300 in 10 minutes to enter the next contest. And our congratulations to a gentleman named Charles Allison from Las Vegas, Nevada, who was the winner of our ESPN Pick the Winning Chevy Sweepstakes last weekend at Watkins Glen. Congratulations. Charles Allison wins his choice any Chevy Lumina.
There's Buddy Baker in the 20, the red 20 car on the inside of Bill Elliott.
Now he's about to go a lap down, Benny. He is in the 15th position, so that will leave 14 cars in the lead lap. Now the next driver that would be going a lap down,
Allison.
well, yeah, Davey Allison is 14th, and I doubt if they'll be coming up to put a lap on him.
Here's Rusty Wallace, Ken Schrader, and Alan Kowicke. That is 8, 9, and 10. 8th, 9th, and 10th position. Rusty Wallace, of course, there on the left in the Miller Genuine Draft Pontiac. That team owned by Roger Penske, who owns this racetrack and is here this weekend. And now Schrader gets that Chevy up high on the racetrack, and Alan Kowicke sneaks underneath.
And here comes Schrader trying to get back on the inside. No, he decides he'll follow Kowicke and see if they can hook up together and run a little bit faster.
Kowicke moves to 9th, Schrader back to 10th position. The leader of the race is Bill Elliott, who is looking for his 8th victory here at Michigan International. He is the leader among active drivers in wins here at this 2-mile super speedway. 104 of 200 laps completed here at Michigan. It's Bill Elliott, Morgan Shepherd, Mark Martin, Ernie Irvan, and Jeff Bodine, the top 5 in the champion Spark Plug 400. Our live Speed World coverage of this race is being brought to you by Pontiac and your local Pontiac dealer. We build excitement. And by Budweiser, the king of beers, with that clean, crisp, cold taste. Nothing beats a Bud. Ken Schrader had an encounter with the outside retaining wall, a minor one a lap or so ago, and he's headed for the pits. Jerry Punch is there.
Well, it may have been minor from where we sit, but from where Kenny Schrader was sitting, it was a major one because he had the right rear tire rubbing. They will come in now and change all 4 tires. They were concerned maybe about a tire going down. The car slipped up and tagged the wall, and now they have changed the right side tires. We'll change left side tires, and Schrader will lose 1 lap here in the pits. A lot of valuable time on the racetrack. Tough break for the Kodiak Chevrolet driver. He's down and away.
Well, that sure took care of his fuel advantage, didn't it?
Yep, sure did.
That's too bad.
But he should be able to make it on 1 more pit stop now.
Kenny was running in 10th place when his encounter with the wall occurred.
I guess you're right, Ned. Everybody else has to stop twice. Now he can only stop once, so if he hasn't damaged the car with his bang up in the wall, he still has a shot.
Yeah, I think we're going to see pit stops coming up here before too long from, well, no, I guess they got it a little while ago before those that made pit stops during a regular 90 to 100 mile span.
Mark Martin, the fellow that's running 3rd, I know stopped at lap 70, so we're at 107 now, 37 laps he's completed on this tank of fuel, so it won't be too long.
No,
now,
10 laps.
Our Big A Auto Parts on track interval this time compares the lap times on lap 93 through 97 to Bill Elliott, the leader, and Davey Allison, who is the last car on the lead lap, but has newer tires. And you can see in comparing the 2 lap times how Allison is much faster with those newer tires.
Newer tires. Well, Davey Allison's car might be even a little bit better than Bill Elliott's today. It's hard to tell. He has taken the lead when they're on equal tires, but right now we know that he has fresher tires, and it's reflected to the speed. 4/10 faster, then 5/10, a half a second faster, then another half a second faster. So, and that is directly because of the tires. If this car would be better than Bill Elliott's car now on equal tires, it would only be 0.05 or 1/10 of a second better.
Now the battle for 8th position involves the number 2 car, Rusty Wallace, and the 7 of Alan Kowicke.
While we watched that battle, Ken Schrader came back into the pits for another stop. He is back out on the racetrack now, but he did come back into the pits. There's Harry Gant in the car number 33. He is currently being shown in the 7th position. So you got 3 cars, 6th, 7th, or 7th, 8th, and 9th.
And that's Dave Marcus there in number 71, who is not on the lead lap. Bill Elliott has the lead at the moment, but it appears as if Morgan Shepherd at number 15 begins to close in a little on the Coors Light Ford. We're going to do a field snapshot here, so get ready and look for your favorite driver as he comes through the shot, and we'll start the clock in the upper right, and you can tell how many seconds he is behind the leader. We'll start the clock as Bill hits the line. Try to help you as much as we can. That's Bobby Hamilton, Rick Maston, Mark Martin, Buddy Baker, Ernie Irvan.
Mark Martin is their 3rd place car. He went by. There's
Chad Little, Hillen, Wally Dallenbach,
Ricky Rudd, Jeff Bodine, Mike Chase, Dale Jarrett, who has a great run going. There we saw our group of 7, 8, 9 went by. There's the King.
There's Darrell and Michael Waltrip and Hut Strickland right behind them. They are currently being shown in the 10th, 11th, and 12th positions.
There's Davey Allison, Ricky Rudd.
I called someone else Rudd a little bit ago. I'm sorry, folks.
That was Derek Cope, I think.
And here come the leaders. That's H.B. Bailey passing through. And there is Elliott, and it's 43 seconds, a 43-second lap. And that translates, Benny, 167.4.
Quick calculations there, Bob. That's good. Thank you very much.
I'm a little better. Look like he did.
Oh,
I saw that.
Don't give me credit for anything. Morgan is slowly moving in on Elliott.
We talked about an advantage a little bit ago. These two cars are, it looks like they are even. Morgan Shepherd has closed up on the back of Bill Elliott, but again, he was only 5 car lengths behind. Now he's 3 car lengths behind.
Average speed of the race up to 149.5 because of only 1 caution flag.
What's that in-car camera one again? Once again, Bob?
The igloo.
Thank you.
Watch my lips. Igloo.
Here's Alan Kowicke in the Hooters Ford trying to move around Harry again. There's Rusty Wallace right in front of him. Kowicke, of course, the pole sitter.
Eligible for $98,800. If he does not win the race and that total goes up another $7,600, it goes up to $106,400 at Bristol next Saturday night, and that's where Rusty won the last Unocal bonus money.
Hey, that's right. The Unocal Corporation puts up $7,600 each and every race. If it's not won, as Bob said, it carries over, and it gets up to a bunch of races right now.
That is not A.J. Foyt there on the bottom of the racetrack. That is Mike Chase, who A.J. has hired to take the Copenhagen Oldsmobile on the Winston Cup circuit. Mike, of course, from the West Coast, and to say the least, is elated at getting the opportunity to drive for A.J. Foyt.
Ben, you mentioned a little while ago that Jimmy Spencer maybe had lost a cylinder on his Banquet Chevrolet. Apparently, it just gave up on it. He took it to the garage a few laps ago. Kowicke just hasn't been able to get around Harry again. We saw him up beside of him there a little while ago, but just simply has not been able to make the pass.
By the way, Mike Chase running 25th in the scoring.
And Bill Elliott, the blue Ford, is the leader. The red Ford is Morgan Shepherd, running 1st and 2nd. There's another Ford, Mark Martin, the Folgers Ford. That currently, look at Morgan. He looks on the inside of Bill.
Mark Martin is running 3rd. Car 6. We'll see how far he is behind. Not too far.
Not far at all.
Nope.
And he changed 4 tires. Remember, he had a great pit stop, 20-second pit stop, and these other fellows had 13-second pit stops, and that's 7-second difference, but now he's only a couple of seconds behind.
But he's going to have a pit stop coming up pretty shortly, fellas.
Right now,
as a matter of fact, it's right now.
Yeah. Nice call, Ned. Jerry Punch awaits the arrival of Mark Martin, 3rd place competitor.
And last time he pitted, guys, they changed all 4 tires, and they will duplicate that again now. They plan on making a 4-tire change as the Folgers Ford comes down pit road. And once again, folks, he is limited to 50 miles per hour. Looks like he's barely moving as he now comes on the pit road. He will keep the car away from pit wall. And Robin Pemberton takes the lug right to the right front. The jack beneath the car. Right side tires going on. Meanwhile, they have already taken the left side lug nuts off. Bill Elliott in turn 3 making his way to turn 4 now as Dale Earnhardt makes his pit stop. They're working down the left side tires of the Folgers Ford, and Morgan Shepherd will be making his scheduled pit stop as Mark Martin leads. Let's go up to John Curtin where Morgan Shepherd will be pitting momentarily. John?
Well, the Donnie Wingo-led Morgan Shepherd crew is awaiting the arrival of Morgan. He brings it in. He's going to bring it in close to the pit wall. We're anticipating a 4-tire change. Lug nuts are coming off on the left side. Right side's going on. Morgan has been running really super all weekend long. They need another good pit stop, and it looks like one's in progress. Rights are on. Lug nuts are tight. No chassis adjustment just yet. Looks like the tank of gas is full. Left sides are going on now. They're going with 4 sticker tires, and Morgan is away. 21.5 seconds.
Here comes Elliott down through the tri-oval as Morgan Shepherd keeps that car under 50 miles an hour on the exit of pit road. There is Elliott as he sweeps by.
So he puts Morgan a lap down. Of course, Elliott will have a pit stop coming up very shortly. That'll move Ernie Irvin into second place. Dale Jarrett has passed Jeff Bodine, has moved into third. Bodine is fourth, and Rusty Wallace has moved up to fifth.
And here is the number 2 car of Rusty Wallace and Jeff Bodine. Now, Wallace is going to be coming in very shortly. Bill Elliott's crew also readies for a pit stop by him. Here comes Bill off the turn 4 banking. Keeping it under 50 miles an hour. John, he's headed toward you.
I tell you what, Bob, it's just an agonizingly slow pace to watch him come in. But, of course, safety on pit road is what NASCAR wants, and they are getting it. Now, Bill had just a few laps ago radioed in, said he only wanted right side tires. But Ernie Elliott and the crew decided to go for a 4-tire change. Morgan Shepherd's strategy of going with 4 new tires may have dictated that they, too, take on 4 tires. Right side's already on. No chassis adjustment. They are using scuff tires, whereas Morgan took on sticker tires. Left side's going on, and now Bill is down, and he is headed down pit road.
That pit stop, 4 tires at 22.5 seconds.
Now the 4 car of Ernie Irvin, who had taken over the lead, comes in the Kodak Film Chevrolet. That'll put Dale Jarrett in the lead if Jarrett stays out there, and it looks like he will stay another lap.
But Rusty Wallace is going to come in the pits. There's Ernie Irvin, the Kodak Film Chevrolet, our winner last week at Watkins Glen, making his way down pit road once again, 50 miles per hour.
And Rusty Wallace is right behind him as he brings the Miller Genuine Draft Pontiac down the long pit road here at Michigan. He is pitted down further toward turn 1 than Ernie Irvin. Ernie's crew completing the work on the right side of the car. They don't now go to the left as Rusty Wallace arrives at his pit stall, and the crew goes to work on the right side of that car.
And Harry Gant apparently has run out of gas on the backstretch. He's slowed dramatically as Ernie Irvin goes out. Rick Mask pulling the Skoll Classic Oldsmobile out, and so does Rusty Wallace in the Miller Pontiac. There's Gant. He's coming at a pretty good speed, but he slowed down much too soon to come into the pits when he would normally come in. Dale Jarrett now is coming in. He had taken over the lead in the sit-go forward. Alan Kowicke comes in, so does Jeff Bodine and Darrell Waltrip.
Still a lot of activity on pit road as pit stops are being staggered here somewhat.
Interesting situation. The Wood brothers are opting to go with left side tires on the sit-go forward. They changed right side on the last pit stop.
Harry Gant, as he was coming down pit road, was wiggling the car back and forth, back and forth. I think he was trying to show the crew that he had a flat tire is what it looked like, and let the crew figure out which tire that was flat.
Harry finally arrives at his pit stall. Dale Jarrett on the left goes out of the pits. Jeff Bodine is still pitted. Darrell Waltrip is still pitted. Here comes Alan Kowicke out. Now Waltrip's car is down off the jacks, and so is Jeff Bodine's. Those two pull out while Harry Gant remains on pit road.
Michael Waltrip coming in the Pensol Pontiac, and so is Hud Strickland. Michael Waltrip had taken over the lead.
But now here he comes in.
Yep, and Hud Strickland coming in right behind him.
That Pennzoil crew swarming all over them.
4-tire change.
Hud Strickland pitted just up pit road from the Michael Waltrip car as Davey Allison assumes the lead once again, off sequence from the others. Stay with us. We'll be back for more live coverage from Michigan. Now, we've had problems on the number 11 car of Jeff Bodine. It's in the pits again. Jerry, what's the problem?
Well, apparently the car developed a miss. They thought it may be an ignition problem. They're trying to roll the car. They had the hood up. Beecher Hetland, who's the engine builder, is walking along the right front of the car with the hood up, and they are pushing the car down pit road, trying to get the car refired. And apparently now the car will not refire. They will push the hood down, and they're going to go work on some of the wiring again. A tough break for Jeff Bodine, who led both in June and today, and apparently will not go to victory lane.
Bodine with a very strong car here at Michigan today. Ran up in the top 5 for most of the time, but problems have arisen on the Budweiser Ford. And on the racetrack, Davey Allison in car number 28 trying to put the number 17 car of Darrell Waltrip and the 25 of Ken Schrader down a lap.
That's Chad Little on the inside. Chad is already a lap down because he made some contact with the outside retaining wall earlier in the day.
Davey Allison's pit stop may be coming a little bit earlier than we thought. Watch for Davey to possibly come in the this lap or the next one.
Well, Benny said they didn't get it full of fuel.
Yep.
The last time they stopped, they made an awfully quick 2-tire change. So now he comes back into the pits, and John Kernan will be there.
Benny was exactly right. They only got just a little bit over 20 gallons. Now, they could have gone about 5 more laps, but they're going to need another stop anyway. They're within that window, so they decided to go ahead and bring him on in. And unlike some of the teams we've seen, they're going to go with a 4-tire change. We told you the Wood brothers went with 2 tires. Davey and Robert Yates and the crew got talked on the radio, and they have decided to go with 4. Now, lug nut on the right front tire came off, and they had to put it back on by hand, but that's not slowing them down too much. Lefts are on. It's full this time, and Davey is going down pit road.
Allison picking up speed in the Haviland Ford, keeping it under 50 miles an hour. And now the lead goes back to Bill Elliott. Mark Martin shown in second position, and Morgan Shepherd now is in third, but Elliott has a rather comfortable lead at the moment. Here comes Mark Martin, followed closely by Shepherd. Jerry, more on that Jeff Bodine situation.
And it is not good, Bob. Apparently they've either broken a valve or rocker arm, and they're looking to take the car to the garage area and see what they can do. Jeff Bodine to the car has gotten worse and worse, and now the Budweiser crew, Tim Brewer, Peter Johnson, are headed to the garage area, where shortly they will be with Jeff Bodine, the driver of that car. Tough break for them, guys.
Earlier in the program, Jerry's track fact dealt with a broken valve spring, so you can visualize now what has gone wrong in that engine on the Jeff Bodine machine. And Morgan Shepherd is in third position, but appears to be losing ground to number 6 and the 10 car of Derek Cope is slow on the backstretch.
Coming into the pits.
Yeah, I thought Morgan.
Car number 10 of Derek Cope is going very slow on the backstretch.
I thought Morgan Shepherd was going to turn into the pits. He was going so slow, but meanwhile he does continue on and comes right down to his pits. It kicks the car in neutral, and the crew is going under the hood. Oh,
so
man.
We're seeing some Fords who were so fast in qualifying having some problems here. And Morgan reporting that it feels like a plug wire has come off. But John, any further information?
Well, Bob, all I can tell you is that the car sounds very, very sick. They have shut it off down here. Morgan's sitting behind the wheel. Bud Moore and the crew have come over. They're going to put another spark plug in. They think that might be a problem on the left side. They're going to work, and they think it might have, the spark plug may have gone bad on them. Like Morgan had just radioed in and said it felt like the spark plug blew right out. When it came in, it definitely had a bad miss in it. Right now, they will go to work, and hopefully that can fix the problem for them.
While we watch Morgan Shepherd, we showed you a few minutes ago Derek Cope going slowly down the backstretch. He has taken the Purolator car to the garage area. There is Morgan Shepherd waiting on the crew to finish up under the hood so that he can get back out on the racetrack.
And Hut Strickland made a not-scheduled pit stop a few laps ago in the Ray Bestis Buick. Hut is currently being shown in the 21st position. He had been up in the top 15.
Well, we are now 69 laps away from the finish of this race, as 131 laps have been completed, and the Western Auto race summary shows us that Bill Elliott has led 28 of 127. One caution period for a total of 7 laps. That was for debris on the backstretch. Lead changes 15 among 11 drivers at an average speed of 150.52. Now, those that have led a lap include Shepherd, who's in the pits, also Davey, Martin, Kowicke, Jeff Bodine, Means, Elliott, Schrader, Jarrett, Michael Waltrip, and Ernie Irvin. Out of the race, Bobby Labonte, Stanley Smith, Brett Bodine, Jimmy Spencer, and Rick Wilson. Now, the Western Auto Mechanic of the Year standings, Larry McReynolds, employed by the Davey Allison team, is on top of the standings, but by only 1 point over Kirk Shelmerdine and Dale Earnhardt's crew. Tony Glover is third. He works, of course, for Ernie Irvin. Bob Johnson on the number 1 car is fourth in the standings, and Waddell Wilson of Ricky Rudd's team is fifth in the Western Auto Mechanic of the Year standings.
Michael Waltrip is off the pace, Bob.
It's
and so is Darrell. Well, Michael had slowed down. He was running in 7th place, and Darrell was running in 8th place. The Waltrip brothers having problems.
We'll check those situations while we take a break from our live coverage of the Champion Sparkplug 400 Winston Cup race from Michigan International Speedway. We are under caution here at Michigan for the second time. Big puff of smoke from the Darrell Waltrip car down the backstretch, bringing out the caution, bringing Darrell into the pits, and now the crew pushes the car behind the wall. Must have cracked a head, we understand, on that car.
And Bob, the big loser on this situation is Ricky Rudd. He had just made a pit stop. He had gotten out of sequence with the others because of an unscheduled pit stop just a lap ago. He had come into the pits. He would have been on the lead lap if he could have hung on for one more lap, but now he's way back in the pack.
And the green is being displayed at the end of pit road, signaling the pits are open, and several will take advantage of the caution flag. Here comes the leader, Bill Elliott, Mark Martin, Ernie Irvan, Rusty Wallace, Dale Jarrett, Alan Kowicke. Jerry Punch is in the pit area with split screen here on our pit stops.
Now we'll show you Bill Elliott on the top of your screen and another Ford Folgers colors of Mark Martin at the bottom. Now the Mark Martin crew going to the work on the right side of that car as Bill Elliott will get service from his crew further up pit road. Cleaning the windshield. It'll be a 4-tire change here for Mark Martin. They come around to the left side. Robin Pemberton now dodges the jack man, takes the left front tire off, left rear going off from Steve Mill. As the car number 9 exits pit road, the Coors crew are completing their service. And now we're getting Martin's car in gear. Remember I told you Mark Martin's car was flying out of gear early on. And you heard the car fly out of gear as he tried to accelerate to leave pit road. That cost him being able to get out in front of Bill Elliott.
Well, this caution period does several things. First of all, in addition to the situation with Rudd that you mentioned, Ned, it also puts Davey Allison back in sequence.
It does indeed.
And so he will get back in sequence with the rest of the leaders. We're on 136 laps into this event. Second caution of the afternoon. Back with more right after this. Back live at Michigan International Speedway in Brooklyn, Michigan for the Winston Cup Champion Spark Plug 400 on a beautiful Sunday afternoon in the Irish Hills. Our Speed World coverage is being brought to you by Buick and your local Buick dealers. Remember Buick, the new symbol for quality in America. Still under caution here at Michigan International Speedway. The leaders have pitted, and last lap, everybody that was not on the lead lap had an opportunity to come in for some pit work. And the Grand Marshal of this Champion Spark Plug 400, Crystal Loescher, she's with Jerry Punch.
Thank you, Bob. This pretty young lady not only is the Grand Marshal today, courtesy of Champion Spark Plugs, along with her husband, Mike, but she is a wife, mother, and businesswoman, and also she's a NASCAR Winston All-Pro Division driver. But, Crystal, most importantly, you have a very special message for a lot of the kids who around the country.
Yeah, Jerry, I was noticing on the back straightaway the big bear cub from NASCAR. Well, our message is we really want the kids to look up to the drivers that are here today and all the workers in the pits, that they need to concentrate on winning at life, and that means staying straight, staying in school, and just doing a good job.
Now, Crystal speaks at high schools and elementary schools all around the country, trying to improve and trying to impress upon the kids the Say No to Drugs campaign and the new program that she's involved with called Kids Who Care.
Right. It's a new program. You know, the children have been hearing Say No to Drugs for so long that it doesn't really mean anything to them anymore. So we're turning that around. We're going to look at it a little bit more positively, and we're going to put it together a program that says say yes to winning. And it doesn't mean just on the racetrack. It means winning at life. And if we start with the children when they're small, you know, realistically, those are our race car drivers of tomorrow, our pit crew, our business people, and we've got a secret weapon out here, and it's those race cars. You go to a school and talk about a Say No to Drugs program, you better bring your race car, and you've got their undivided attention.
And she's a driver and runs a driving school down in New Smyrna Beach, Florida in her spare time. Crystal Loescher, our Grand Marshal. Bob?
Nice message to all the children of the United States and to all others for that matter. We'll resume our live coverage here at Michigan in just a moment. We are back to racing here at Michigan on lap number 141 as Bill Elliott leads Mark Martin, Rusty Wallace, Alan Kowicke, Ernie Irvan, and Dale Jarrett to the green flag. Now, Ricky Rudd, the fourth car there in your screen on the far right, is not on the lead lap. He is in 10th position.
Well, as long as you told you to tell that,
Dale Jarrett was passed by Davey Allison for that 6th spot. So
well, Davey is going to move up through the field, I have a feeling, because again he is back on the sequence of everybody else as far as pit stops. There's Allison there up the far left of the screen as Dale Earnhardt continues to struggle. For those of you just joining us, he is 7 laps down because of a problem very early in the race.
That's Davey on the black 28 on the inside of the Dick Trickle automobile, trying to get by Trickle. That's Dale Jarrett. He is in the lead lap. The Citgo Ford, and here comes Earnhardt. This is the Citgo in-car camera, the front bumper on Dale Jarrett's car. And look behind these fellas.
3 abreast again. Morgan Shepherd, Sterling Marlin, and Harry Ganner 3 wide coming down through the tri-oval here.
Of course, Morgan Shepherd lost a lot of laps when he had a problem, spark plug or something. And there's Harry Ganner trying to get on the inside of Dale Jarrett. Dale has chosen to follow Dick Trickle around there. And
spin up in turn 2 right behind these cars.
And 2 cars involved, 3 involved. I believe Joe Ruttman
is involved.
He hit whoever spun up there that's against the outside wall, and then somebody spun behind.
That's the 89 car, I believe, of Jim Sauter up against the wall. There it is.
The Evan Root sponsored car driven by Jim Sauter from Necedah, Wisconsin. Crashes up in turn number 2, and Joe Ruttman's Chevy Lumina is badly damaged in the front end.
I've been calling it an Oldsmobile. You're right, that is a Chevrolet.
It is a Lumina, yep. Here's the tail end of the spin as we see the safety crew rush to Jim Sauter's car.
We see it right behind. I saw Sauter. He just lost control for some reason. I don't think anyone was around him. He goes around and everything is okay till Joe Ruttman comes along, has no place to go, and really can't see anything in the smoke. And we see the car back behind spinning.
I don't know who that is. Maybe we can learn from this angle. There's a contact, Ruttman and Sauter, and a closer view of it there.
Whoever that white car was that spun back there, he really got lost in the smoke. And
yep, but kept going.
Yep.
We see who it is? I can't tell. Anyway, he kept going. Everything's okay. Joe Ruttman's car has stopped at the apron somewhere between turns 3 and 4, and so we will have our 3rd caution period of the day. First for a crash, however.
And you mentioned that is a Chevrolet of Joe Ruttman. This is the first time this year that the Raymock team has run a Chevrolet. It was Oldsmobile. And we understand that Jim Sauter is out of the car number 89, the Evan Root Pontiac. So that's good news.
This is the first time that Raymock has run a Chevy for Joe Ruttman, but it isn't the first time that Raymock has run Chevys. They ran that mark in 1983. So the safety crew has arrived on the scene where Jim Sauter's car is against the wall in turn number 2. Back in a moment. 3rd caution of the day, first because of an accident. Involved are Jim Sauter and Joe Ruttman. Both cars are damaged, but Sauter is out of the car okay, and Joe Ruttman is also okay. The last weekend at Watkins Glen, during the running of the Budweiser at the Glen, we lost a very close friend, a very tenacious competitor in the Winston Cup Series. As many of you know by now, J.D. McDuffie lost his life in that crash last week. Benny Parsons takes a closer look at this great man.
Racing fans knew J.D. as the classic underdog, or in racing terms, an independent. And they loved him for that, because in many ways, he was a symbol of the struggles that many of us face in life. For J.D., his joy came in working on a race car that he was proud of, and then driving it to its limit. He operated on a budget less than a tenth the size of others, but he kept plugging away. And someone asked why did he keep racing? He knew he really didn't have a chance to win, but I'm here to tell you, when the command was given to start the engines at Watkins Glen last Sunday, J.D. was sitting there thinking about how he could win that race. As hard to believe as it may sound, every real racer thinks that today will be his day, that somehow, some way, things might fall their way, and they'll be the first to take the checkered flag. J.D. McDuffie was a real racer. When he was interviewed in Victory Lane following his win in a celebrity race at Shangri-La Speedway the night before his final race, what was on his mind?
Yeah, we had a real good time, too. I hope I can repeat this tomorrow.
But it's times like these we realize all successes in life aren't measured by wins and losses, but rather the quality of the pursuit of a dream. For racing fans, J.D. McDuffie will always be remembered as a symbol of the days when racing was simple and men competed for the love of the sport.
We welcome you back to our live coverage. ESPN Speed World on hand today for the Champion Sparkplug 400 at Brooklyn, Michigan, Michigan International Speedway. We're under caution because of a crash out in turn number 2 involving Jim Sauter and Joe Ruttman. And we are 146 laps into this race.
And the unknown driver, the fellow, another car that spun, didn't hit anything. Oh, it's 55, Ted Musgrave. How did you know that, Kenny? Kenny Martin found out it was Ted Musgrave that spun the white car.
And we will replay this incident that occurred up in turn number 2 a while ago.
There we see Sauter. He lost control. I was looking at the car, and just all of a sudden the Evan Rude Pontiac went around, and there's the other car spinning that we never could figure out, but Kenny Martin somehow got that information.
He's the leading rookie contender, led Bobby Hamilton by 3 points coming into this race today. The Jasper Engines, car number 55 of Ted Musgrave.
Got a great rookie battle going on in Winston Cup this year. As you indicated, Ted Musgrave is the leader right now, but by only 3 over Bobby Hamilton. Wally Dallenbach is 3rd in the rookie points, and Stanley Smith is 4th, and they're separated by only 1 point. Jerry, let's go down to you and find out what you've learned about pit strategy here during this caution period.
Bob will have 54 laps to go, 53 at the cross the start finish line this time by. And a minute ago, Ricky Rudd came in and pitted in the Tide Chevrolet, hoping they can go all the way. Now they are told that they'll have green next time by, and a number of cars coming down pit road now will try to top their tanks off. Harry Gant among them here in the Skull Oldsmobile. Further up pit road, Sterling Marlin getting service in the Maxwell House Ford. We also mentioned that Michael Waltrip was in during our caution break, and he has lost a cylinder. But Harry Gant will get 4 fresh tires, top the tank off, and maybe he may be able to make this gas mileage work for him here late this afternoon, as is Ricky Rudd. Gentlemen, what do you think, guys? Is this going to work?
Sure, they can run the. Yep. But what's the matter with Harry Gant? They're all through. Oh, they're cleaning off the windshield.
Yep,
and they see Andy
just packing every ounce of gasoline they can get in it. And you know, he won at Talladega earlier this year in the Winston 500 by getting better gas mileage than anyone else. So it wouldn't surprise me to see Gant go all the way. Now Dale Jarrett made a pit stop a couple of laps ago under caution, changed 4 tires, and I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't come back in and top the fuel off. They perhaps think they might be able to go all the way too. It's going to be interesting.
There are 9 cars on the lead lap as we get set to go back to green. They will not get the green this time around, but they could get the signal this time around for 1 more lap to go. So we'll take another break while we're under caution. Come back with the racing action for you at Michigan International Speedway. We're back at Michigan now. While we were away, 2 of those running in the lead lap, Alan Kowicke and Ernie Irvin, did make pit stops to top off their tanks, but that's it. Now, next Saturday night, the big Bud 500 from Bristol International Raceway. The half-mile high bank facility will have all the live coverage for you at 7:30 Eastern Time next Saturday night. From Bristol International Raceway, the Bud 500. Always one of the best shows of the entire year. Davey Allison is going to come in and top off his tank because they're not going back to green right now.
All the cars are coming. Everybody's coming to pits. There's Martin, Rusty Wallace, Hut Strickland, Davey Allison, Bill Elliott, the leader, is coming in.
Now the signal is being given for 1 more lap to go, but Allison, Elliott, Hut Strickland, Rusty Wallace, Mark Martin all coming in to top off the tanks.
So everybody figures they can go the rest of the way. Some of them will. There'll be some won't.
50 laps will remain when they come down to get the green flag. Ernie Irvin coming in, Ricky Rudd, Allison, Wallace, and Mark Martin all coming out at the same time. Being careful to stay below that yellow line there in turn number 1.
Yep. I believe this has put Michael Waltrip into the lead. Even though he is running on 7 cylinders, he's still in the lead lap.
Well, that'll be excited on the green flag. He and 7 cylinders in the front.
Yeah, we had gotten word just before the caution period that Michael had lost a cylinder, so he is not going to get up to speed nearly as fast as everybody else when they come down here to get the green.
Now, a little bird flew by and said that Mark Martin don't feel that he can make it. He can only go about 48 laps. And when they come back to get the green, they're going to have 50 laps to go. Like I say, some will be able to make it, some won't.
That is the story that we will play out here in the last quarter of this race. Michael Waltrip is up front.
There's Mark Martin, who we was talking about, that one of the better cars has been running up front all day, but Ned says he heard that someone heard on the radio that he might not be able to make it. This is Morgan Shepherd. He's also had some problems.
Pace car pulls off the 4th turn, and here comes the green flag. It's waving. We're back to racing, and you can see the poor start that Michael Waltrip is getting.
And of course, Harry Gant just drives right on around him. Now, does Harry want to get out there and run hard? And of course, he wants to lead a lap. For one thing, I don't think he has led. He might have during some of those pit stops. I don't know. But anyway, does he want to get out there and run hard and use up that gas? Of course, drafting is effective here, Benny, but it's not as much of a gas saver as it is at Daytona and Talladega.
No, it certainly isn't.
Morgan Shepherd is not on the lead lap.
He's several laps down. He's trying to get one of those laps back. Has a very good race car, as we can see as he goes by our leader, Harry Gant.
Now, Gant has run 51 laps already one time today, so he's one of those that I think can make it. Dale Jarrett has run 50, so he should be able to make it. Kenny Schrader ran 56, but right now, he's not in contention for the win.
There comes Davey Allison.
He's in the middle of the pack, but working his way up. And behind him, the 3 car of Dale Earnhardt and the 5 car of Ricky Rudd. These guys first and second in the Winston Cup points, but neither of them having a particularly good day, as Ricky is 1 lap down and Dale is 7 laps down.
Dale currently being shown in the 28th position, and Rudd in the 12th position.
There goes Davey Allison trying to get by the Rusty Wallace car. Kenny Schrader direct in front. That's Dick Trickle in the gray 24. Davey staying right on the bottom of the racetrack. Car seems to be getting a good grip. The Schrader's on the inside.
Now Davey will look to the inside and pass by Dick Trickle. Here comes Wallace using the low groove. Now Allison right on the back bumper of Ken Schrader.
He got a bite off that corner and came off like a rocket ship.
Second place car is Mark Martin. Third is Elliott.
The 22 car, and on the inside, the blue car, Sterling Marlin, he's laps down.
And so is Ken Schrader.
They're just showing Sterling 1 lap down, fellas. He's in the 10th position, and Ken Schrader a lap down also in the 11th position.
Look at Davey's car work on the bottom of the track.
Here he comes, trying to get by Schrader. He's not able to do it.
Now Schrader's going to beat him into the turn. He'll beat Sterling Marlin. Davey Allison will.
What happens when you go low in the corner like that? It takes your angle, your attack angle of the corner away, and you have to go in and make the car make such a sharp turn that it really doesn't want to make that turn. The car wants to push, so you have to back off dramatically when you go in the corner on the inside, as Davey Allison is right now. You need to go in real wide up against the outside retaining wall and come across the racetrack. Davey's not able to do that with other cars out there. Here again, Scope Bandit's our leader currently. Way back to Mark Martin running second, Bill Elliott third, and now Davey Allison has gotten by Schrader and is in 4th spot.
There's the interval between Allison and the leader. Those out of the race include Stanley Smith and Bobby Labonte, Brett Bodine, Jimmy Spencer, and Rick Wilson. Jeff Bodine went by the wayside, so did Derek Hope and Darrell Waltrip. Sauter and Ruttman involved in a crash. And Bobby Hillen has gone behind the wall in number 42. 11 cars have dropped out.
Here's a race for third. Davey Allison pulls alongside Bill Elliott. He's a little bit ahead, but now Elliott has that angle I was talking about of entry into the corner. And that's why he can't get the momentum, but as he comes off the corner, he seems to get a pretty good bite and may get Elliott down the back.
And he pulls to the inside now, going down the back stretch.
Boy, he's got some horsepower, doesn't he?
He sure does. He's going to pass Elliott.
Because Elliott has a lot of horsepower, and he just motored right on by. But Elliott's not going to make it easy for him. Trying to come back up on the outside in the turn. Ooh, they're awfully close together.
Are they? Elliott way up by the wall. But Davey successfully completes the pass, and so he now is in third position behind Mark Martin and the leader of the champion Sparkplug 400, Harry Gant. Back after this. Watching battle for second position. The leader is Harry Gant. The two battling side by side for second are Davey Allison and Mark Martin, but no longer, as Davey passes Mark rather easily, and now Allison, who has moved to second, sets his sights on Harry Gant.
Boy, he looks like a man on a mission, and that mission being right now Harry Gant.
Yeah, he's come up through traffic well. It's obvious the car's working well for him. The question is now, can he catch Harry Gant and pass him? Here's Harry Gant's serial. On the 20th lap, he was 12th. Lap 65, 8th. Dropped back to 11th on lap 135. And now at the end of 160 laps, he is the leader of the race. But that could change before too many laps, because Davey Allison is coming on.
You know, we're fairly confident that Harry Gant can make it the rest of the way on the fuel. I'm not sure those two Fords, that one right there, Davey Allison, and one behind him, Mark Martin, I'm not sure they can make it on fuel. So it'd be a shame they get up and pass Harry Gant, but yet have to stop 3 or 4 laps in the end for a splash of fuel.
The interval is less than 2 seconds now between Gant and Allison. Davey led more than half the laps of the race 8 weeks ago here at Michigan in claiming a victory.
Running pretty conservative groove around the racetrack. He's not getting too low, nor is he getting up against the wall too high. 1.1 interval that time.
Boy, he picked up quite a bit, didn't he?
He did pick up
8/10 of a second.
Allison has won 3 times this year in Winston Cup competition at Charlotte, on the road course at Sonoma, and here at Michigan. And Harry Gant has won 1 time. That was at Talladega in the fuel mileage race that we brought you live here on ESPN.
You sure you did that button right a little bit ago, Bob? We better check this again. I'm not sure you did that right.
I think I was a little slow on the first one. I don't run the button. You're trying to blame something else on me that isn't my fault.
Wow.
But somebody has to take the blame.
If I tell those people that's listening, they'll... Here's Harry Gant. Now let's check it. It was 1.1 a second ago. Now it's 0.6.
Yes.
So he gained a half a second that lap.
Jerry Punch is with Harry Gant's crew chief.
Bob, here in the Skull pit, they had 2 concerns, the 2 F's, fuel and Ford. Let me ask you first, Andy Petrie, on fuel, can you make it the rest of the way?
Well, you know, fuel's a big concern right now, but I guess the biggest concern is the Ford. They've been on the strong here today. And, you know, like I told you a while ago, we'll take advantage of this airtime while we're leading. That 28 car bill is in pretty good right now. You know, I just hope for a good finish. Looks like 28's got everybody covered today.
Well, that Ford he's talking about is Davey Allison, and he's about 2 car lengths behind him. Let's check in his pit where John is standing by with Larry McCrinnell.
Larry is talking to Davey right now. We've watched Davey come to the field. Well, now Davey back on the radio in constant communication. We've watched Davey come to the field. Obviously a lot of horsepower, but you got to burn a lot of gas to get that horsepower. Can he go the rest of the way?
Well, that's what we're talking about. We're trying to figure out whether to draft off again or go on by him. We're about 2 or 3 tenths quicker than he is. Feel like if we go on and get by him, you know, we can conserve a little more fuel when we get out there. So we just see what happens. It's going to be close.
Can you run easier in front of Harry or behind him?
Easier in front of him. Easier in front of him.
There's Larry McReynolds, the crew chief, and Davey as he crosses the start line, has indeed taken over the lead.
Yes, he has. Davey Allison has gone to the front. Now Gant is second and Martin third.
Here's Dale Jarrett trying to take over the 6th position from Ernie Irvin. He's come from a way back. He passed Alan Kowicke a few laps ago, drove away from Alan. Now Jarrett's Ford, the sit-go Ford, is really working down on the inside of the racetrack. Ooh, he's about to slip up into Irvin that time by, though. It cost him a little bit of time. But he's really been able to go low in the track, and that is the way that he's moving towards the front.
Dale had a big announcement this week, didn't he, Ned?
Yep, they made it official about the Joe Gibbs team for next year. Interstate Batteries will be the sponsor on their Chevrolets that they'll run, number 18. NFL Properties will be an associate sponsor. Juice Bowl will be an associate sponsor, and Marriott Hotel. So they have a complete package.
Well, that is great news. And right now he's looking very, very good as he tries desperately to get by. And that's the thing that's killing Dale right now, is just the line he has to take the entry into the corner. It's just not wide enough to be able to get back on the gas or get in the corner well enough to pass Ernie.
Jarrett has had 3 top 10 finishes in a row. He was 6th at Pocono, 8th at Talladega, and 5th last weekend at Watkins Glen, and is headed for another one today.
I think the Wood brothers have done a great job in coming back. Looked like he's got Irvin this time around as he slides up in front of him. But they've really been working hard. They perhaps have gotten a little behind at one time, but they have come on strong recently. And the fact that Dale is leaving them at the end of the year has not slowed. In fact, if anything, they're all working together better than they ever have. They want to win, and Dale would certainly like to give them a win before he leaves them at the end of this year.
More on this from John Kernan.
Well, Ned, you're talking about how they continue to work and how Dale, even though he's leaving the team, is continuing to work. Yesterday afternoon during the ARCA race and the rain delay, I was standing over talking to Eddie Wood. Well, Dale comes running over, and he wants to talk about using a different type of sway bar. He was taking a nap in the trailer, resting, and all of a sudden he got an idea. It woke him up. He came to check with Eddie, and they did change sway bars in that last practice session to try it out. So that just goes to show you how dedicated Dale is to the team, and he really would like to take them to victory lane before he leaves.
And one of the big questions about 1992 becomes, since Dale is leaving the Wood brothers, who will take over that car, and that remains a mystery at the moment, but some kind of an announcement may be made in the next few weeks.
And these fellas are, as they race side by side, looks like they might even be catching Bill Elliott, who is directly in front of them. Elliott is currently running in 4th spot. There he is on the outside of Schrader, and Elliott's car just not going like it has been.
You're watching the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th place cars. Elliott's 4th. Wallace is 5th. Now Jarrett might have 5th as he barely gets a nose out in front of him.
The only car not on the lead lap in this group is Ken Schrader there, number 25. Davey Allison continues to lead in second.
You're right, he does. You're right, Bob. I'm sorry. That's 2nd place car, Harry Gant.
Thank you. Allison leads. Gant is 2nd. Mark Martin is 3rd. And now, Big A Auto Parts on track interval. This is essentially how Davey Allison caught Harry Gant from laps 157 through 161. You notice that Allison, for the most part, had the faster laps, and that allowed him to close the interval from 2.2 seconds on lap 157 down to 1.1 on lap 161, and then Davey completed the pass and took the lead from Gant.
We can see that Harry Gant is more consistent, but Allison much faster.
Now, if Davey Allison were to win this race, it would give him a sweep. That is, winning both races in the same year at Michigan. And that would be the 7th time that that has occurred. It occurred in 71 with Bobby Allison, David Pearson in 72 and 76, Cale Yarborough in 73, and Elliott in 85 and 86. That battle continues to rage there with Rusty Wallace and Bill Elliott and Ernie Irvin and Dale Jarrett.
Well, Elliott has, been passed by Rusty Wallace. Now he's trying to pass back. That's the 4th position they're all battling for.
Elliott gets a half a car length on Rusty at the line, but as they go into one, Rusty grabs the spot back.
And smoking that right rear tire on that Miller Genuine Draft Pontiac as he goes through the 1st and 2nd corner.
Kenny Schrader has sort of backed out of that. He knows those fellows are all battling for position. He's a lap down, so he's going to let them go at it.
30 laps to go. 30 laps to go. There is Davey Allison, the leader of the champion Spark Plug 400. And there is Larry McReynolds planning the strategy from here on. With 27 laps to go here at Michigan, it is Davey Allison in the Haviland Ford leading the champion Spark Plug 400. Harry Gant is second, followed by Mark Martin and then Rusty Wallace. And you can see that Davey has stretched out the real estate between himself and Harry Gant, and now Gant has his hands full with Mark Martin.
I tell you what, I'm not sure Harry Gant's still not in pretty good shape, because we're pretty sure that these two Fords are going to have to stop and get some fuel, and I'm pretty confident that Harry Gant can run about as long as anybody on a tank of fuel.
Now, the farthest that Martin has run today has been 46 laps. As we mentioned earlier, Gant has run 51 laps, so we think, as you say, that he can probably make it. Bill Elliott has run 47 laps, and he pitted on lap 149, so that means he would have had 51 more laps to go. So.
And we can see just how far ahead they are of the next group, and here comes that group with Rusty Wallace, Dale Jarrett on the inside of Bill Elliott trying to take that spot away. That's a race for 5th. And Ernie Irvin back in 7th.
Dale passed Bill, took over 5th.
Boy, he worked hard for that position.
Yes,
for the 2 position, it took him a long time to get her. It didn't take him nearly as long to get around Elliott as it did around Ernie Irvin.
Now Mark Martin continues his pursuit of Harry Gant, and he almost hit the wall up in 4th. Here it is.
He's coming off the corner and goes up, and you're right, Bob.
Almost. I believe he brushed it. Gant hangs on to that 2nd spot. And now here comes Ernie Irvin up to challenge Bill Elliott. Elliott's car was so strong in the middle stages of this race.
But he's not able to keep it down on the bottom of the racetrack now, Bob. He drifts up a little bit in the turns. It must be pushing coming off the turns. You see him coming back there now. But watch Irvin as he comes off of the turns. He's on the low side. He should be able to pull a little bit away. Although that's a tough place there to come off as they get close together. He gains more only coming off of turn 2. And many of these turns are distinctively different from 1 and 2 and 3 and 4.
Oh, I tell you, this is an easy corner. Going down in turn 1 where Bill Elliott and Ernie Irvin is going down, this is an easy corner. That 3rd corner is a very, very tough corner. And you know, John Kernan talked about it at the very top of the show, that the cars are back on bias-ply tires, and how they got to keep measuring and checking and what have you. It looks like that Elliott's car might have lost the handle. The tire size went away just a little bit as he went out there. Oh, here's the race for 2nd place between Mark Martin and Harry Gant. I thought maybe Martin would hang back behind Harry and draft him trying to save fuel, but
no way.
No way, Jose.
Here comes Mark. He makes the pass on Harry. Martin in the Folgers Ford is now 2nd. Gant is 3rd. And Jerry Punch is with Steve Meal, crew chief on this Folgers Ford.
Well, guys, we know Harry Gant can make it on fuel. At least they think he can make it. They're not sure about Davey Allison. Let's check in on Mark Martin. Steve, can you make it all the way on fuel?
I don't know. We kind of want to run with Harry here for a little bit. Either us in front or Harry in front, try to save some fuel. The farthest we've gone all day is 48 laps. We're sure we can go 48. It'll be like 49 or 50 cents from the time they drew the green. We haven't used all the fuel all day. Maybe now's the time to use it. You know, we have not used all our, every time we have been stretching fuel, we're going to try to stretch fuel and go to the end. I don't have a clue about what David can do, but we're going to try to go to the end.
Well, they're going to roll the dice here in the Folgers pit. Gentlemen.
All right, I'll tell you what, it's 3 o'clock Eastern time, and if you have even a thought about changing channels and going to something else right now, thinking that this race is over, you better think again, because there is a real fuel question. Here's Alan Kowicke passing Ernie Irvin at the end of the backstretch.
Well, Ernie's car's not working like it was earlier in the race either. And they get awfully close as they come off of turn 4.
Ernie battling back up high on the 18 degrees of banking.
Bill Elliott right in front of him.
That's a race for 7th position. Ernie Irvin takes 7th, and Alan Kowicke, the pole sitter of this race, drops back to 8th. There's the leader, Davey Allison. And he has a very comfortable lead at the moment. However, the question is, can he go the distance with the amount of fuel he has? And can second place Mark Martin go the distance? We'll be right back. We welcome you back to Michigan International Speedway, where there are 19 laps to go in the Champion Sparkplug 400 Winston Cup race. Davey Allison, car number 28, has the lead of this event. In second position is Mark Martin, and in third, very close behind, is Harry Gant. Jerry has an update on the Mark Martin strategy.
It's sort of funny, guys. You know, a minute ago when we were in break, Mark Martin moved over and let Harry Gant go by because he wanted to draft off Gant to save fuel. But then Harry Gant moved over and let Mark Martin go back by because he wanted to draft off Mark Martin to save fuel. So neither one of them want to lead. I mean, they both want to ride in someone's draft to save fuel.
So strategy being played out on the racetrack that they ultimately hope will affect the outcome.
Jerry, I would think that Harry Gant wants Mark Martin to be in front because they know they can make it on fuel. They don't want to let Mark Martin ride behind them because that would give him an advantage. They want him to use every ounce of fuel that he has to finish this race.
Very good point. So the cat and mouse game continues here. They got a good lead on fourth place car of Dale Jarrett, so they don't have to worry about him coming up there and messing with them for at least a while.
Mark Martin is fifth in the point standings, and we said something during the opening of the program that you may have said, huh? It's right that Mark Martin, since Charlotte in May, has accumulated the most Winston Cup points. So, is your team coming close to pulling off their first win of 1991?
Man, it's really close right now. The whole team is just excited about going to every race. The car's running so good. The chemistry's so good between Steve and Jack and Robin and myself. I tell you, we're ready.
And they are ready for the win here this afternoon. Mark Martin has accumulated 1,278 Winston Cup points since Charlotte, and Dale Earnhardt has accumulated 1,222. How about this? No winner, as we indicated at the top of the show, has ever started out of the top 10.
Here at Michigan.
Here at Michigan. Mark Martin started this race from second position. Davey Allison, the leader, started from third. Harry Gant, on the other hand, started this race from 14th position. So, if Martin and Allison were going yellow, well, we have not seen the yellow yet, but there is an indication from NASCAR we could be going yellow very soon because of debris on the racetrack. Green stays out right now. 15 laps to go, less than 15. Davey Allison.
Boy, that could change the whole complexion of this race.
Sure could.
Here comes the leader. If there's going to be a caution flag, it'll be right now as Davey comes off this corner.
Yeah, but Doyle Ford don't have the caution now. He's
nope.
No, I thought he was reaching for it for a moment, but he's not. So we're going to stay green. And this battle for second continues. Harry again, drafting, saving fuel, trying to.
And he's also pushing Mark Martin. He wants to run as close as he can without passing Mark to make Mark run as hard as he can.
Harry Gant finished 10th here at Michigan 8 weeks ago. And the mechanic of the race, the Western Auto mechanic of the race, is Larry McReynolds from the Davey Allison crew. Congratulations to Larry.
And right now, Larry McReynolds is, oh, caution flag now comes up.
Yep, there it is. That's the thing that's going to change the complexion and the strategy of this race. Allison slows it down. So does Martin and Gant as the yellow flag waves here on lap 187 because of debris on the racetrack. 13 laps to go in this race. Now what happens?
Okay.
Man, this is a shootout.
What does happen? Do they come in for fuel?
No, I don't think so.
Give up track position? I think they got to come in.
Do you?
Yeah.
Benny?
Yeah.
I think they got to come in. John, what do you think? Are they coming in or not?
Well, I tell you what, on the radio down here, Davey is telling Robert Yates and Larry McReynolds that, hey, let's stay out. Hopefully under these caution laps, we can conserve some fuel, maintain our position. We're already the quickest car out here, but we'll just have to wait and see what Larry and Robert decide to do. They'll have the final say, I'm sure.
The pace car has picked up the field, so pits are closed right now, but they will be open when they come around this time.
I bet Jarrett Irvin comes in.
There's 9 cars in the lead lap. I would think that Bill Elliott back from 6 on back will come in. Now the first 5 may stay out.
So we could see Elliott, Irvin, Alan Kowicke, and Michael Waltrip come in.
That's right. Michael Waltrip is on 7 cylinders.
He'll
the last car on the
definitely
lead
come in.
lap. So
there's no reason why he shouldn't.
Davey's going to come in and get 4 tires, I bet.
Davey is?
Yeah, I bet he will.
We'll
see.
We'll
see. A
see.
little activity there.
We're about ready to answer the question. Will there be... here they come.
Everyone comes in.
No question that everyone is coming in to get some fresh tires and make sure they have enough fuel to go the distance. And now the shoot-up is set out.
When one does it, everybody else has to then.
Jerry Punch is on pit road.
And indeed, they come at us at 50 miles per hour. Everyone on the radios telling the drivers 50 miles an hour. Here's Mark on the bottom, Davey Allison on top of your screen. We'll watch both these crews go to work. 4 tires for Davey Allison in the Haviland Ford. Why they're going to get right side tires only for Mark Martin. They put 1 can of fuel, 1 can only. Mark Martin is away. And Davey Allison is off to Jackson. He is away. And these cars will make their way back to turn 1. They're putting 4 tires on Rusty Wallace's car and 4 tires on the Harry Gant machine. Here's Gant coming out. Here's Rusty Wallace moving down pit road. Ernie Irvin, Alan Kowicke, and Bill Elliott as they all head back to turn 1.
Now it comes down to what it should come down to, and that is who has the better car rather than who has the fuel mileage.
Well, Dale Jarrett only put fuel in, didn't he, Dan?
Yeah, they only took, the Wood brothers opted to just put fuel in the sit-go forward, so he was the first driver out. Now, it'll be interesting to see how that strategy works out.
Caution is still out. Will be for at least another lap and a half. We're 12 laps away from the end of this race, and we'll be back after this. Let's go to John Kernan, who has a report on Dale Jarrett's car.
Well, the Wood brothers opted to go for fuel only. Of course, that moved them up into the lead since they got out of pit road. First of all, I came up to their pit and asked them, why would you take a gamble when the other cars were changing 2 tires, putting on 4 new tires? The set of tires they have on the car right now are the best that they've got, and they've run the best on that today. Any of the other new tires that they had put on, they ran a half a second slower. And as we saw, Dale had basically no problem getting around some of the traffic earlier on after he changed these tires the last time. They've only got about 35 laps on them, and there'll be, what, 9 laps to go? So, hey, hang on, it should be quite a finish.
It should be quite a finish, John. And now let's take a look at the manufacturer's point standings. With 10 wins, Chevrolet is on top with 133 points. Ford has the 2nd highest number of wins this year with 104 points accumulated in 4 wins. Then Pontiac, Oldsmobile, and Buick still looking for its first win of the 1991 season. Now let's go to Jerry Punch, who has a medical update on the member of Dale Earnhardt's crew who was injured earlier in the event. Jerry?
Bob, Goodwrench tire carrier John Malloy cut a finger on the right hand when they had that first problem with the right rear tire. They were trying to pull the sheet metal away. He cut a finger, was taken to the infield care center, had 3 stitches put in it, pulled it back together. He is back here working. We just wanted to update and let everyone know he's going to be okay. He got it pulled together, and he's just pulling for his driver. We're going back to green, guys.
We sure are, and there are 9 laps to go. 191 laps completed. Boy, look at this. They fan out 3 and 4 wide as they head for turn number 1, and Dale Jarrett has the lead of the race. Mark Martin 2nd and Davey Allison 3rd.
We're going to see how much of an advantage those new tires are. Dale Jarrett did not change. Martin did. Let's see if he can hold them off. And can Mark Martin hold off Davey Allison?
Look at Allison. Allison goes inside of Mark Martin, and he's going to pass Martin with ease. And now he sets his sights on the leader, Dale Jarrett.
That's the break that what he needed for. He needed those guys to race. He needed for Davey and Mark to race. And look, Davey Allison gets too high, and he and Mark Martin touch. And here comes Rusty Wallace. Now, this is what Dale Jarrett needs.
Yeah, let them bang around back there on each other.
Boy, Davey got way up high on the wall. Here comes Ernie Irvin to the inside.
And Mark Martin looks like he's off the pace.
Well, Davey Allison passed on the inside and then went to the outside of the racetrack and got in trouble as the car came off the 4th corner. Look how high he is.
Davey got in the corner too hard, went up. Mark Martin was trying to get by. He touches Davey in the left rear. Now he has to jump out of the throttle, and that's why he slowed down so dramatically.
Boy. All right. Now, it is Dale Jarrett, Davey Allison, and Rusty Wallace, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd.
Boy, they're running flat out now.
7 laps to go. This is the bumper cam. Dale Jarrett's car. Nothing in front of him. Clear sailing, but right behind him is Allison as he charges to the back bumper of Dale Jarrett's car.
That's Rusty Wallace. The black car in the middle is Rusty Wallace. And Dale Jarrett is doing his car, doing a great job on those tires with 30-35 laps, as John Kernan reported.
Allison hangs back. Big pack of cars behind the first 3. Martin and Gant and several others are following. They're still 3 abreast, battling for position.
I'll tell you, I've been surprised that Dale's been able to stay out there that long with those tires. The Wood Brothers made a good call. Made a very good call.
Is Dale Jarrett headed for his first Winston Cup victory of his career?
Could very well be.
He only has 5.5 laps to go.
His best finish was a 4th at Atlanta last year, the last race of the season.
He's holding off the challenge of Davey Allison. When they come down, it'll complete 195 laps.
Now, remember, we talked about no winner out of the top 10. Dale started 11th today.
And he could break that string. But Davey, of course, started in 3rd position, and he would like to continue it.
The one advantage that Dale Jarrett has is he's running in the same tracks that Davey Allison wants to run in, where Davey's been running all day. Both those cars having on the bottom of the racetrack, and Davey's not able to find his favorite spot to run in. He's trying to go high, but we saw a moment ago his car just does not work up there like he wants it to.
Now he gets up there. Dale gives him some room, or does he give him some room? No, he puts her right back out there. I'll tell you one lady that's going crazy down in North Carolina is Kelly Jarrett. She's a very Dale's wife. She's a competitive individual.
And I'll tell you what, in the years that I've worked with this guy sitting next to me, Ned, I don't think I've ever seen him quite as antsy as he is right now. The last win, by the way, for the Wood Brothers was in May of 1987 when Kyle Petty drove their car to a victory in the World 600. Now there is Harry Gant and Bill Elliott.
That's a race for 5th.
Dicing for that 5th position, as behind him Alan Kowicke and Ernie Irvin are also fighting it out for a spot.
The 2-car Rusty Wallace, the only non-Ford product in the top 5.
3 laps to go.
Ned, believe he's going to pull it off.
I don't know. I'm holding my breath. I don't know if I'm going that long or not.
I want you to say something, Ned, so you breathe.
We understand that Davey Allison's car has developed a push. Is that right, Jerry?
That's exactly right. Davey's got a bad push in the car, and he's having trouble getting the car turned coming off the corners, and Dale Jarrett is taking the inside lane away. Guys, it's going to be a shootout.
It sure is. When they come down, there'll only be 2 more laps to go. 4 miles of racing. Allison looks to the outside. He falls in behind Dale Jarrett, and they're still separated by about 3 or 4 car lengths. The Wood Brothers, by the way, are the all-time winners in terms of car owners with 10 victories here at this racetrack. Allison closes in even tighter. It's now down to a car length and a half. They go on to the backstretch, and a spin, a car blowing an engine in turn number 2. Dave Marcus with a big puff of smoke. Is this going to bring out the caution? I doubt it. But boy, that would assure things for Dale Jarrett.
Well, if he can get back to the start-finish line first.
Here comes Davey to the outside. He's going to try this pass again. It got him in trouble earlier. They both slide up the racetrack, and here they come for the white flag. 1 more lap to go, and Allison has a slight advantage on Jarrett as they head for turn number 1.
But remember, Dale's been going well on the inside. Does he have the right line, though, Bob?
Davey Allison keeps his car in the middle of the racetrack. Dale Jarrett's car is on the low side. Off the 18 degrees of banking, they go down on 5 degrees of banking, and Dale Jarrett wiggles a little bit as they come out of the second corner. They bump, they touch, they rub, going down the backstretch, side by side, wheel to wheel. Who is it going to be in the Champion Spark Plug 400? Jarrett has the slight advantage as they go into the 3rd and 4th corners. Davey Allison battles back on the outside. It's going to be a photo finish. They touch coming down through the triangle at the line. Who wins it? I believe Jarrett does.
He knows it, doesn't he?
Oh, wow. Dale Jarrett won it, but it was a photo finish. He didn't win by more than 4 or 5 inches.
I tell you, fellas, when he wins his first one, I want him to do it that way, racing for it.
And he waves to Davey Allison saying, nice race.
Wow.
Dale Jarrett, his first Winston Cup victory.
All right, here they come off of turn 4. Allison on the outside, Jarrett on the inside. Both of them with the pedal to the metal. They touch coming off of the turn. Did that slow Jarrett down too much? No, he gets a bite down on the inside and barely gets to the start and finish line first. Glad he did it again.
Well, it's just another race.
You was afraid he was going to lose it on the replay, right?
Yeah, I suppose so.
Wow, what a finish.
Oh, boy. Let's get out of John Kernan. He's with Eddie Wood.
I tell you, he doesn't look it now, but Eddie, just a minute ago, you were about 10 feet off the ground. It's been a while, about 4 years.
It's been a long time coming. I'd just like to say thanks to Larry Britton and the people at Citgo. They stuck with us through all the stuff we've been through. Up and down, it didn't matter. Ford stayed with us. We got a decent car here today. We had a good body on it. Chrome Hauser out of Charlotte did the body. Everything just went good, and I know you're watching, Larry.
You know, the Wood brothers long had a tradition of a great pit crew, great pit strategy, and that really helped Dale get to the front today on that last pit stop, fuel only.
Well, the way it all turned out, the only set of tires we had all day was the very last set, and I asked him on the radio, I said, you're probably the quickest you've ever run since we started to race, you know, let's just stick with it. He said, that's fine with me, whatever you want to do, because we was already going to gamble on the fuel. So we was gambling on that too, but, you know, you roll them, sometimes they come up 7. So.
Hey, let's go to Atlantic City. Go on down to victory lane, Eddie.
Dale Jarrett wins the Champion Spark Plug 400 and picks up his first Winston Cup win. Here's his reaction as he crossed the line, looking to the right to Davey. He says, I've got this thing. All right. And there is Happy Papa. And again, Ned, from all of us here in the broadcast booth, and I know everybody down in the truck, and a lot of well-wishers around the world, really, congratulating you and your son, Dale Jarrett, on a fine, fine victory here this afternoon.
Well, I tell you, I didn't have anything to do with it unless pulling helps. But he drove a great race, and they gave him a great race car and made a good call there at the end. The Wood brothers didn't win all of those races. They won by just
Here's Jerry Punch.
Is this young man happy? Look at him getting hugged and congratulated. My goodness, what a celebration, Dale. Congratulations as all the crew comes in. Congratulations on a tremendous effort.
Well, thank you. First of all, let me say, Kelly, I love you. I'm sorry you couldn't be here for the first one, but Dad, I'm glad you got to see it here. But next thing, these Wood brothers are something else, aren't they? They did a great job. What a call there at the end. The car, that was the fastest that the car had been, and Best had drove, and they said, let's leave those tires on, just get a little splash of gas, and that's what won me the race. Appreciate Davey. I raced him awfully hard there. I hope he understands that's the first one, and I wanted it awfully bad. But, you know, thanks to Citgo for giving me this opportunity forward. I certainly appreciate everything they've done for me, and these guys are just great.
Young man so emotional he can hardly talk. And Dale, the last couple of laps, there was some bumping out there. And tell us about your thoughts coming off turn 4 on that last lap. You can see the checkered flag getting ready to wave, and he had you by half a car length.
Yeah, he did. He got off the corner there. I thought maybe that I could run him out of racing room up there, but you know, as good a driver as Davey is, he just held his own there. I tell you, this engine in this Ford here really ran good, and you know, I'm just as happy as I can be right now. Somebody I've got to thank that helped me along the way a lot. 2 people, John Irvin, the crew chief on my other car that brought me up, and Horace Eisenhower that owns the Busch Grand National car. That if it wasn't for him and my dad, probably wouldn't be here. But thanks to everybody back in Hickory. We'll have a big party when we get there.
I guarantee you there'll be party in North Carolina tonight. Dale Jarrett gets a big hug from Len Wood, Eddie Wood. The Wood brothers have made the call, and the young man has gone to victory lane for the first time.
He is the first-time winner of 1991, and he is the first driver ever to win a race here at Michigan out of the top 10. He started in 11th. Congratulations to Dale Jarrett.
Well, welcome back to Michigan with Davey Allison. And Davey, that had to be probably one of the greatest finishes ever.
Well, I'll tell you, John, you know, I got to congratulate Dale Jarrett for the great race he drove. Those guys gambled on that last caution, and they did the right thing. We put on 4 tires, and the car was just a little bit tight. I raced him as hard as I could. He raced me clean. I raced him clean, and he beat us. So we'll come out of here with a 2nd place. I think we led the most laps, and if we did, that's 5 extra points. So we'll take 2nd place today and go to Bristol next week.
Now, were you waiting to make a move on the last lap, or did he hold you off all that time?
No, our car was a little bit tight, like I said, on that last set of tires, and I just couldn't get a run on him. And, you know, if we'd have been about 4 or 5 more laps, I think we could have got around him. But other than that, he had us.
There's Davey Allison. Davey, by the way, came into victory lane, went over and stopped the picture-taking ceremony for just a minute to congratulate Dale. And when he did that, the fans all stood up and cheered for Davey. Great finish, Bob.
It was a great finish, and again, a good clean finish. And we're going to take a look at the entire field rundown, and it's going to be a day that goes down in memory for Dale Jarrett. I'm sure you guys remember when you won your very first race.
I was just thinking it'd probably go down as the most memorable day in your life, Ned.
Yes, it certainly will. That first race that I won in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, back in 1959 was a 100-miler on a dirt track, paid $950 to win.
Dale's going to pick up a little bit more than that here this afternoon. Besides that, it's quite an accomplishment. Winston Cup racing is so competitive these days, and to be able to pull off your first win among this group of competitors and do it at this racetrack really is a feather in Dale Jarrett's cap. And again, we congratulate him. Let's take a look at the points. By Ricky Rudd's 11th place finish and Earnhardt's 24th, the separation is now only 69 points between Rudd and Earnhardt. There is the finish as it is. Now we remind you that baseball tonight coming up at 8 o'clock live on ESPN, Minnesota and Oakland. And next Saturday night, we will be at Bristol International Raceway. For Jerry Punch, John Kernan, Benny Parsons, and Ned Jarrett, this is Bob Jenkins. So long, everyone.